Thank you all for your patience. We're just going to give it a moment and let the waiting room clear. For those presenting, please make sure your audio and visuals are working.
Afternoon, Jasmine.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Jasmine.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, and we're going to get started. So, good afternoon, everyone. This is a hearing before the Boston Cannabis Board, the BCB. Today is May 14th, 2025. Today's hearing is being conducted pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. This is what allows us to meet virtually. This hearing is being recorded and we posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review some procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Cannabis Board. And today I would like to welcome our newest commissioner, Commissioner Jack Kensla, as well as our other commissioners, Commissioner John Smith, Commissioner Lisa Holmes, and Commissioner Sonal Gandhi.
Thank you, Chairwoman Joyce. My name is Jasmine Nguyen. I am the Boston Cannabis Board Manager. We are also joined by Luke Sandhouse, who is our Cannabis Licensing Specialist. I will begin by calling each item in the order they appear on the agenda. We have 3 amendments to already approved licenses and 4 new license applications. The amendment applications will have 5 minutes each to present by the BCB, followed by questions and comments from the board members. We will then move on to our new license applications, where they will have 10 minutes each to present to the BCB, followed by questions and comments from the board members. We will then take public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives. If you wish to testify, please sign up via the link that is put in the chat. If you have already signed up, you don't have to do it again. Additionally, you may use the chat function to request to testify or the raised hand function. Please wait until the matter you wish to speak about is called before raising your hand or putting it in the chat. Do not use the chat to give testimony. It will not be considered. Please state your full name, address, and affiliation when giving testimony, which will be limited to 2 minutes, at which time you will be muted. Additional testimony may be submitted in writing to cannabisboard@boston.gov. The record will be kept open until Monday, May 26th at 5 p.m. The BCB does not give any more weight to spoken testimony than it does written testimony. We will begin with the first item. The licensee is Ascend Mass LLC. The license premise is 272 French Street, West End. The license type is a marijuana retailer. The request is to amend the operating hours. The current hours are 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. The proposed hours are 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good afternoon, Jasmine. This is Mike Ross, attorney for the law firm of Prince Lobel, if I may.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the commission. So I'm here today with Matt McKenna, who's the Director of Government Relations from Ascend. We're here to seek an amendment of the current hours of operations, as Jasmine just said, from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week to 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. These hours are consistent with nearby operations. The applicant had previously appeared before this board last year in February to request a closing time from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Rather than making the 2-hour jump at the time. Given there have been no issues that we are aware of during that period, we are now seeking to increase the closing time to 11 p.m. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Attorney Ross. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions?
Can you just remind me how long you've been at this location?
Ooh, Matt, offhand, do you know how long went the date of open?
I believe 2021.
Okay. Thanks very much. I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Commissioner Holmes? Commissioner Smith? Commissioner Gandhi?
No questions. Thank you, Jasmine.
Commissioner Kinsley?
I am recusing myself from this matter.
Seeing no additional questions from the board, we'll move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representative.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information, the community process. ONS had hosted an abutters meeting on April 17th. There were no concerns raised in that meeting. We did receive one letter in support, and the applicant went on to meet with the West End Civic Association, which was supportive of the proposal. With that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Are there any other elected officials that would like to speak on this matter? Luke, did anyone sign up to testify?
Not for this matter, no.
All right. Seeing no additional hands raised or anyone requesting to speak, we will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move to our next matter. The licensee is East Boston Local Roots LLC. The license premise is 1006 Bennington Street, East Boston. The license type is a marijuana retailer. The request is for a change of beneficial interest. 8.56% ownership will be transferred to Sienna Family Trust, and 8.20% of ownership will be transferred to a new owner. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
I am Jasmine. Again, this is Mike Ross from the law firm of Prince Lobel. Again, good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is a request to transfer the beneficial interests from two related parties in both instances. In the first instance, it's to transfer 8.56% of the interest from Linda Shanna to the Shanna Family Trust. And in the second instance, it's to transfer 8.56% of the interest from one former spouse to another. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions on this matter?
Remind me, is this an equity applicant?
It is not.
I have no questions.
Do any of the other commissioners have any questions? Seeing none, we'll move to public testimony beginning with elected officials or their representatives. All right, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
All right, the next matter we have is I Rose Garden LLC. The license premise is 22 Birch Street, Rosendale. The license type is a marijuana retailer. The request is to amend the operating hours. The current hours are 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday through Sunday. The proposed hours are 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. And this applicant will have 10 minutes because we have a new commissioner and he was not here for the last presentation. So you guys will have 10 minutes to present. Who is here on behalf of the licensee?
I'm here, Kijana Rose, and Cedric Wally is here as well. Thank you to the chairwoman and to the commissioners of the board. Welcome to the new commissioner. My name is Kijana Rose. I'm the majority owner of I Rose Garden. Oh, my cat's attacking me. I'm the majority owner of I Rose Garden, located at 22 Birch Street in Roslindale. We're here today seeking an extension of our hours for our retail operation. We'd like to extend the hours to 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. We initially had the hours set Friday through Sunday because we were doing product manufacturing Monday through Thursday in that space. However, we are no longer doing product manufacturing. We were here a few months ago. In addition to this request, we also had the request of changing some of the ownership, which we did. I've sold 49% of the ownership to the team at Old World Remedies, and they're coming in to support the operations for our retail location. And we've held multiple community meetings as we were asked to do by the board since the last time that we presented. I'll let Cedric take over from here. He has a presentation to give.
Hi, I just wanted to thank Madam Chair and the members of the board for the opportunity to speak and present today. I wanted to start off by really touching on the community work that we have done since the last time we were here at the BCB. The core of this community engagement has come down to 3 community meetings that we hosted at 22 Birch Street at the proposed location. We also offered Zoom links for those that couldn't show up. We made these community meetings a week or 2 weeks apart each. We had one on a Wednesday night, another on a Thursday night, and another on a Tuesday morning. We offered this flexibility and variety to ensure that we could really bring in as many members of the community as possible. On top of these meetings, we also met with many key community and business associations to share our updates throughout this process, but also to gather their input. In terms of kind of the takeaways that we were able to get from these community meetings, we were able to address a lot of the concerns that were brought up, such as security, such as transparency. A few people were concerned from not knowing too much about this process the last time around. And we made it really clear from the first meeting that it was our priority to ensure that everybody in the community was aware of this change that we're making. We're also able to address community engagement and how this type of change would really allow us to better help and support the community around us. And finally, we were able to really get to the point of us being here today, which is explaining our change in hours. And I think that once most people understood the reasoning behind this, a lot of people were really on board with this transition. In terms of the business groups that we met with RVMS, leadership at Lana, Rosendale Business Group, and WVNA. All of these meetings were really productive, at least from our point of view, and they were really helpful in terms of being able to help us with outreach for all of our community meetings. On top of us flyering at least twice before every meeting, these business groups also aided us by sending out emails to their hundreds of followers and ensuring that we really had as good of a turnout as possible. We also had the opportunity to have coffee chats with local business owners and go over any concerns that they had. On top of that, we had a coffee chat with Rep McGregor and Boston City Councilor Enrique Pepin to discuss our change in hours and get their advice on how we could better engage with the community. We also met with City Council President Ruthie Louis-Jean and also was able to, again, get her insight and let us know how we can better interact with the community. In terms of our plans to change our retail and operating hours, I just want to make it clear that we started on this 3-day cycle because there was not the staff nor the capital upfront to operate on a 7-day schedule. And on top of that, like Kijana said, 4 of those days were for manufacturing. I think the long-term plan was to always be able to open 7 days a week. But ultimately, we were not able to get to that point because we weren't able to generate the profit necessary to really expand our hours. As all of you know, cannabis in Massachusetts is a relatively nascent industry, and so much has changed since its inception. And we've really done our best to stay committed to our plan. But now we're trying to adapt and expand our hours to ensure long-term viability and be able to support a staff and hire individuals on a full-time rate. And on top of that, be able to give them health benefits, dental benefits, 401ks, and everything else that's involved in really running a strong business that can really thrive within the community and for its employees. Thank you.
Is that the end of your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. We'll move to questions, comments from the commissioners, beginning with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. My only comments are that at this time it is just an amendment of the hours from 9 to 10 to 8 to 10. That's what we have before us.
Commissioner Holmes? No questions? Commissioner Smith?
No, Jasmine, thank you.
Commissioner Gandhi?
That's incredibly helpful. Thanks for the clarification, Chairwoman Kathleen. My question was going to be, what is the impact on parking, etc., for change of use? But given that this is only hours, I will reserve my questions for later. Thank you.
Commissioner Kinsley?
How would you expect it would impact your employment plan and level of staffing in the facility?
I think that this is only going to have a really positive impact. Like I said, as business owners, it is really important for us to be able to have full-time employees, have people who don't have to go out and get second jobs just to support themselves and their family. As a part-time, basically, if we were open 3 days a week, we can only hire part-time. We can't offer benefits. We really want to build a family and a community within our workplace and be responsible owners. And so I think that that's going to really be the biggest impact on our staff. And for me, at least, and I think for them, it's going to be a really positive change.
Do you have a sense of how many additional employees you would plan on hiring if these changes were to go through?
Well, we haven't been operational for the last couple of years. Again, due to kind of the limitations in our ability to really profit and expand, the operations were put to a stop. We took a break, went out, raised capital, which is my team basically coming in, and now we're trying to start back up. But we would be able to employ many more people within the Roslindale community by being open 7 days a week as to what it looked like a couple years ago.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to make a quick point. Yes, this is only for amendment to their hours. This is not a change of use. This applicant was approved by both us and the ZBA for cannabis use and variance. So this is not a change of use. I know we received a lot of testimony saying this was a different use, and it's not. Under zoning, cannabis use, all uses are under cannabis uses. So just wanted to clarify that for anyone.
But Jasmine, just to further clarify, they originally wanted a bakery and now it's not going to be a bakery. It's going to be straight up retail, right?
Right.
Okay.
All right. Any other follow-up questions, comments from the board members before we move to public testimony? No. So we'll begin with public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office would like to go on record in opposition to this proposal regarding the change in hours. Originally, we had done a community meeting that was very lightly attended, and no concerns were raised in that. They had reached out to the West Village Neighborhood Association, but after meeting with this board, they were asked to do further community meetings involving a hybrid of both virtual and in-person. During those meetings, we heard a lot of concerns, not just related to the change of a bakery use to a retail use, but also just concerns around the longevity of the business in the future, public consumption on Birch Street, and in particular, the lack of a track record of operating in this neighborhood. I think at this time, as they've been non-operational, I think the community has a lot of misgivings of them launching immediately back in to having extended hours at this time. As to reiterate, the Mayor's Office is opposed. Thank you.
Are there any other elected officials or other representatives that would like to speak?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Diana Bronchuk from District 5 City Councilor Enrique Pepin's office. The councilor would like to go on record his stance of non-opposition for this proposal of the change of operating hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives? No, we'll move to those that signed up to testify. Luke will read the names.
Yes, and just a reminder that you have 2 minutes to testify, and if you could please state your name and address when I call. First is Tim West.
Good afternoon, members of the Cannabis Board. My name is Tim. I live on Conway Street, about 100 yards from Birch Street. I speak today in opposition of the proposed quote change of hours for I&I Rose Garden, but I want to be clear that I fully support and welcome I&I Rose Garden and its new out-of-town business partners operating as it was originally proposed to our community, and most importantly, to the Zoning Board of Appeals. That being a bakery/manufacturing space with limited hours by appointment only and no overlapping product from the locally owned business just up the road. After watching the ZBA hearing that led to I&I's exemption from Boston's half-mile buffer restriction, it was clear that this unique bakery/retail model was well received and one that would not create an unfair landscape for our other neighborhood shop. But that is not what we are faced with today. This docket listing of a quote proposed change of hours is wildly misleading at best and frankly disingenuous, as much of this process has been to date. This business has not been open regular hours, as a quote change of hours title would suggest, and the docket completely ignores the fact that I&I will no longer be a bakery manufacturing space at all, but rather a full-blown dispensary selling much of the same product as our other neighborhood shop. This underhanded method of skirting the city's own rules sets a terrible precedent for the local cannabis industry and will present an unfair landscape for our other neighborhood shop. A shop that is owned by two Rosendale residents who invested significantly, followed all the city and state guidelines to the letter, and opened in good faith that the Cannabis Board works to create and maintain a fair landscape for businesses during the application process and after they are open. Like I&I's host agreement, the earlier ZBA decision should be viewed and honored as an agreement with the community. Yet this completely different business plan is a clear breach of that agreement. In real estate terms, if the ZBA granted a developer approval to build 4 condos on a small parcel in Rosendale, said developer cannot just decide to build 14 units in order to make more money. A change that drastic would be a breach of their ZBA agreement and would never be allowed to sail through. But here we are. With that, I respectfully urge the Cannabis Board to deny this proposed change of hours request outright and recommend a new review by the ZBA as a.
Jim, that is your 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Mitch Rosenfield.
Hello, thanks for having me speak. My name is Mitch Rosenfield. I live at 16 Fairview Street in Rosendale and also one of the owners of Rosendale Cannabis, which is the other local shop that we just heard about. I'm here to voice my opposition, mainly because I just think the board should recognize this is a very egregious bait and switch from the original proposal at this location. What was promised to be a boutique-style bakery with limited retail and no overlapping dispensary products is now being proposed as anything but. In both the Cannabis Board meetings and the ZBA meetings, it was made abundantly clear that there would be, quote, no overlapping product with existing dispensaries, and that this would, quote, not be a dispensary. I'm not sure why this can be publicly stated on record in crystal clear language as a reason for approval, and yet now the proposal is somehow to make it exactly what it was promised not to be. This operator then said she had gone to the community about the new proposal, but as soon as we had the last meeting, it was learned that neither her abutters nor the neighborhood group or the city councilor in this district had known anything about it. And that sparked more meetings, and we were told to go back about the change of hours and the change in concept. So, I don't think this operator has shown she is someone that does what she says she's going to do. And I think allowing this to be okay by the board is a detriment to the only locally owned dispensary who has done exactly what it said it was going to do and put substantial investments in both time and money into a long vacant and dilapidated property in order to meet those commitments. So the only thing I think she's being honest about is her desire to exit the cannabis industry. The 51% ownership stipulation seems to be another example of saying whatever it takes to try to get approval while another non-local entity is trying to open up a full-blown dispensary without going through the usual procedures. So I would reiterate that I think it's imperative that this go back for ZBA approval and have the real sort of community outreach that requires any new shop coming in to open a dispensary to have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Eric Ovison.
Hi, thank you, the board, for letting me speak today. As a part owner of a Rosendale-based business not in the cannabis industry, I'm opposed to this. This represents a massive change from the original approved plan. I urge the Boston Cannabis Commission to send this proposal back to the ZBA for a full and proper review. The business was originally approved for a cannabis-infused bakery manufacturing Monday through Thursday with limited by appointment only retail Friday through Sunday, explicitly no product overlap between wholesale and retail. That was the foundation and the community of the ZBA support. I&I Rose is seeking full-scale 7-day-a-week dispensary, a complete departure from the approved plan. At the February 12, 2025 meeting, Commissioner Holmes asked Kijana if they had ever opened for retail. She stated no. Despite this, a new partner representative claimed that the community wanted expanded operation and full retail hours. But if retail never took place, how can the community support something they had never experienced? Additionally, I submitted an email raising concerns and questions with images of the host community agreement, section 23, subsection 2, which clearly states there will be no benches or social gathering areas in or around the business. Yet, based on the boston.gov website and public imagery, I&I Rose appears to be in clear violation. The Birch Street has been shut down and transformed into a full social gathering plaza with tables, chairs, and a mural. I quote directly from boston.gov. The Birch Street Plaza is alive. We love seeing people enjoy the new mural in the street, and the planters look great with trees and other vegetation. Bistro tables and furniture fill out the space and invite folks to linger. Even the back alley entrance now has tables and chairs. This raises serious safety concerns and operational concerns. How will cannabis deliveries or cash pickups be safely carried out around civilians, especially where people are eating and gathering? What security protocols are in place to protect the public during these activities? How does this comply with the original agreement to minimize impact on the neighborhood? These are not minor updates, they are fundamental changes. I urge the ZBA Cannabis Commission to enforce the original conditions and ensure this proposal is fully re-reviewed before moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Richard Ovison.
Oh, thank you to all the members of the board. I'm opposing this hour change. I'm also a owner of the Rosendale Cannabis Company, and in good faith with applying for the recreational dispensary that we have, we put our money and time feeling that the city would uphold the rules and regulations. And now we're seeing a dramatic change from the previously proposed 39 hours to 91 hours, and also bringing on another dispensary. I'm asking the board to bring it back to the ZBA to start the process over as a 7-day dispensary, and in doing that, talking about the buffer zone that they pierced because of their unique idea. But now it's going back to a 7-day a week dispensary, and that is in conflict with the buffer zone. It's half of a mile. And I'm opposing this change of hours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Megan Hansen.
Hello. Here. Okay. Thank you so much for today. My name is Megan Hansen. I'm the owner of Canna Gems, a business listed in the city of Boston that focuses on empowering and inclusivity in the cannabis space. I'm here to express my strong support for I&I Rose Garden's request to extend their hours. As we're aware, Kijana is a social equity applicant, someone who has done everything she could to follow this process and build her business with the intention of uplifting her community. But in order to make this vision sustainable, she needs to be able to operate on a level playing field. That includes being able to open 7 days a week like other retailers in the city. The cannabis industry has shifted drastically since the original structure in I&I Rose Garden was approved. The bakery component is no longer viable under the current market conditions. The retail side is now the primary means for the business to survive and to thrive. Limiting her hours not only threatens the viability of the business, but directly undermines the goals of the equity program. I am also a social equity applicant. And with somebody from the city of Lynn with very little means, I would most likely be in the position to have to give up that 49% as well. So to be able to lock in with partners like Cedric and Old World Remedies that have operated a retail business for a couple of years, it's just in full support and another business to make her vision come to life. I really urge the board to also watch the footage from the previous community host agreement meetings. It was honestly painful to watch and witness the kind of profiling and shifting of narratives that occurred during these meetings, especially in a community that claims to be welcoming. The conversation strayed away from the actual topic of hours and instead unfairly questioned the structure of the business that has frankly already been approved. Equity is not just about creating
Okay, that was your 2 minutes. Next is Alan Wright.
Hi, my name's Alan Wright. I'm a longtime resident of Roslindale. I live on Burke Street, about 2 blocks away. I'm a member of the West Village Neighborhood Association, which has in its catchment area all of downtown Roslindale Square. I attended 2 of the I&I Rose Garden meetings, along with another board member. I am also, I need to disclose that I am friends with the owners of the other Rosendale cannabis business and friends with several of the people who have just testified. However, I am not a customer of that cannabis business, and I have no vested financial interest in either of these businesses. I actually grow my own, my preferred method. So I just want to raise the point that first, and yes, the group presenting here today did hold public meetings, but the meeting process was confused and there was some back and forth about the notification process. And I don't want to get into the details of that, but I will note that I think the Cannabis Board perhaps needs to pay a little more attention to how the public is notified. The second, and I think more important issue for the board to consider is that the Rosendale Plaza, which is the Birch Street Plaza, which is this short section of Birch Street that is right in the heart of the business district, has now become a very vibrant community space in which there are families and young people sitting around. There are dance events, there are children playing. There's a beer garden section. It's a very lively community space, and I think it's important for the board to consider the impact that might occur or might not occur if the additional hours are granted, and also.
All right,
Mr. Wright, sorry, Luke. Mr. Wright, that is your 2 minutes, but can you just state whether you're in support or opposition? I don't think we got clear what. Hold on, let me unmute you. 1 second, because we can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself. I just sent a request to unmute you.
I am not taking a position. The WVNA has not taken a position. We are asking the board to consider the impact of a change of hours and a change of scope of business on this very vibrant community space. Thank you.
Okay.
Right, thank you. Next up is Wyatt Kelly.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? There we go. Hi, good afternoon, board. My name is Wyatt Kelly. I'm a Peabody resident now. I was a Malden resident for a long time. Found out about I&I Rose Garden and have been frequenting the business since 2017, I believe. I'm from Vermont, though, so I didn't even know what Rosendale, was a community until I found out about the business that came down there. And since then, since 2017, I've been coming down to Rosendale almost every 2 weeks consistently. Love the community, frequent a lot of the businesses, and have had life-changing moments and it's been a big part of my life with Kijana in the community at I-9 Rose Garden and then hanging out down in Rosendale. So I had other things I want to say, but I come from a small community of Vermont. I'm used to small business, and right now in Vermont, they have dispensaries all over and different businesses. I was recently in Colorado in a town in Nederland with 1,500 people that has 4 dispensaries, and they all get along. They all talk. They welcome business. They're a community, and that's what I'm used to, and that's what I've experienced in Rosendale until kind of some of these meetings and discussion about these changes of hours. So I just want to say that I've heard Kijana's integrity attacked, and I find it really shocking because I've been coming down there since 2017, and this is the first time I've experienced just this vitriol, unwelcoming part of the community, and it's been shocking. So I would just like to put my name up and say that Kijana in I-9 Rose Garden, I co-sign on them and everything, and I put my word up and my name up with them. I'm in full support, and I really appreciate you listening to me. I yield back the rest of my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Jaylee in the chat has requested to testify. So Jaylee, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. My name is Jaylee. I'm a member of the Jamaica Plain community. I'm here because I believe in fair opportunities for small businesses and especially equity-owned businesses like I&I Garden. Rosendale, I have been introduced because of I&I for over 5 or 6 years, and it's always been a neighborhood that values diversity, entrepreneurship, and community-rooted businesses. I&I reflects just that. Kijana and her team have worked tirelessly to bring this vision to life, navigating challenging industry, adapting through obstacles, and again, staying committed to the vision to community. Now we're here today simply asking for a chance to operate with the same flexibilities as others and change their hours. And I'm hearing people talk about disingenuity. I'm people talking about Kijana's background. It's sick. I cannot believe that's even a topic of conversation for someone that's been a part of the community since she was a child. Shame on you. It hasn't gone unnoticed who is showing up in opposition either, and who is being asked to defend their right to grow. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm speaking up on behalf of I&I. It isn't just about store hours. It's about proving this change isn't just a business decision. It's a statement that Rosendale supports economic justice, supports local job creation, and it's the kind of business that gives back to neighborhoods. And most importantly, it's a neighborhood that I myself, as a fellow Black woman, would feel comfortable in. I stand with I&I Rose Garden because they've shown integrity, perseverance, and heart. And that's the type of business I'd like to support. Thank you for your time today.
Okay, thank you. And I see Sean L. has his hand raised if you would like to give your 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Sean Leonard, and I'm here to express my strong support for I&I Rose Garden's request to amend their operating hours. As an equity applicant, I&I Rose Garden represents exactly the kind of business this industry was designed to empower: Black-owned, woman-owned, community-rooted, and built from the ground up without the benefit of generational wealth or legacy capital. In a market that remains competitive, fluid, and still maturing, these operators must be afforded every reasonable opportunity to sustain and grow. Restricting their hours not only undermines their viability, but contradicts the very pro-capitalist principles that Massachusetts' legal cannabis market was built on. If I&I Rose Garden is to be challenged, let the challenge come from the market, not from regulatory ambiguity, inconsistent precedents, or limitations that favor more resource operators. This is a young industry. Let's not allow outdated frameworks or fear of evolution to stifle the businesses we claimed we wanted to support. Approving this hour change is not just fair, it's necessary for equitable participation in long-term industry health. Thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, thank you. That's everybody for this matter, Jasmine.
All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak that didn't get a chance to speak?
Are we able to respond at all?
Yeah, I just want to see if there's anyone else before. Which I don't see anyone, so Kijana, you can.
Yes, thank you so much. I really do appreciate all the commentary, even the opposition. You know, we've heard those same operators speak multiple times throughout this process. And I really do just want to point out that the main opposition really is coming from Rosendale Cannabis Co. and friends. And while I fully understand the concerns with the Birch Street Plaza, I just want to comment and say that, one, the Birch Street Plaza has been in the works since we have gone through the ZBA. Like, that was happening simultaneously to us going through. And so if the city was not going to allow that, that should have been pointed out to us then. Second of all, I want to point out that we are already approved for a retail license to operate Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We can operate at those times right now. We are asking to expand Monday through Thursday, really and mostly so that we can create a viable job opportunity for the people that we hire, so that we can hire real talent to come to our store. It's still going to be a boutique cannabis store. We're still committed to not having any product overlap with the nearby dispensaries. And it's really important to us to really think about the sustainability of this business. Last time I was here, and again today, I've been accused of being disingenuous. I've been accused of this being a bait and switch. That implies that I intended for my business model to fail. I certainly did not intend for that. If I had, I wouldn't have put the amount of money, time, and effort, and I certainly would have taken money and time and effort from my family family and friends as I had. The reality is the industry is not the same now as it was when we started this process in 2020. We are an equity business, still the only one in Roslindale. You know, no matter how much of our ownership is made up of Roslindale owners, I'm still a 51% owner. I was born and raised in this neighborhood. I still live here now. And we're the only equity business in Roslindale. If the cannabis board, et cetera, really.
On the highway.
Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there. But I did just want to make those points that we can operate right now, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as a full retail operation. This is about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This is an opportunity to make the business viable and successful. The reality is we really have not had that opportunity yet. We finally do have the capital backing us now. I really urge the board to consider the entire picture here. The people who are here in deference to our proposition today are truly make up one group, Rosendale Cannabis Co.
Any other follow-up questions or comments from the board members?
And I just want to point out that 8 other businesses have pierced the buffer zone, and I believe there's 3 more on the application today. And I hope they're not going to be limited or stifled because of that, because I think the city knew from jump that the buffer zone was unrealistic.
Any other comments from the board members or questions? No. All right, seeing none, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will now move to our new license applications. Again, each of these applications will have 10 minutes to present, followed by questions, comments from the board members, and then public testimony. The first applicant is Zenith United LLC. The proposed license premise is 417 to 421 Hyde Park Ave. This is a marijuana retailer. The proposed hours of operation are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. This is the equity applicant. They filed the application on September 12th, 2023. They filed with Inspectional Services on April 30th, 2024. Their community meeting was held on January 29th, 2025, and there was a buffer zone conflict. Before we hear the presentation, I will ask Shakia Scott, who is the Senior Cannabis Industry Manager for OEOI, to read the equity certification into the record.
Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon, everyone. Our office was able to certify Zenith LLC or DBA Zenith as an equity applicant through the documentation submitted by the applicant Kayla Yee. Ms. Yee is the owner and 51 beneficial interest holder of Zenith, meeting the 51% ownership interest threshold set forth in the ordinance. Ms. Yee meets the following criteria: a person who has resided in an area of disproportionate impact as defined by the Cannabis Control Commission or CCC for at least 5 of the past 10 years. She submitted her bank statements establishing Boston residency from 2018 to 2023. And the geocoder address search tool confirms that the address provided by Ms. Yee is located in Census Tract 81900, which has been designated as an area of disproportionate impact per CCC guidelines. She also is a person who has resided in the city of Boston for at least the past 7 years. She provided those same bank statements from 2018 to 2023, as well as a notarized letter from her landlord establishing continued residency in Boston for at least the past 7 years. She also is a person who is of Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, or Indigenous descent. She self-identifies as Black and Asian and provided her driver's license. Are there any other questions about this certification?
Thank you, Shakia.
Thank you.
Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
I'm here, Jack Carney. I'm also here with Kayla and Manny, the owners.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, you guys have 10 minutes. You should be able to share your screen for your presentation.
Second. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll get started. We want to thank you for having us here today to present our proposal for this project that we've been working on for the past couple of years. We're very excited to have gotten to this point, and we think you're really going to love what we have to share today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with some brief introductions. I'll start first. My name is Jack Carney. I'm handling compliance and operation management at Zenith Dispensary. I've been operating cannabis dispensaries in Massachusetts since 2018. One of our members who is not here today is attorney Sean Coleman. Sean has been practicing cannabis law in Massachusetts since 2018, specifically in the Boston area. And Sean assists us with permitting, licensing, and just overall business management. I'll have Kayla and Manny introduce themselves now.
Hi, everybody. Thank you guys again for being here today and taking the time to listen to us. My name is Manny Almonte. I'm a lifelong resident of Hyde Park. I attended Boston Public Schools, in which I graduated from Boston English, and I attended the University of Maine. I'll be handling day-to-day operations and security operations at Zenith Dispensary.
And then I'll start. Hi, you guys. My name is Kayla Yee, and I'm the co-CEO of Zenith. I was born and raised in Roxbury, Mass., and I'm a proud MECO alum. I graduated from Lincoln Sudbury Regional High School, and then I furthered my education at Assumption University. At Zenith, I will be overseeing the day-to-day operations, ensuring regulatory compliance, and also leading our diversity and inclusion efforts.
All right, so the first topic we wanted to get into today is our location, specifically as it pertains to the buffer zone reduction that we are seeking. So we're aware that we are within a half mile of an existing cannabis dispensary at our proposed location, 417 Hyde Park Avenue. So we'd like to address this in a couple of manners. The first manner pertaining to Hyde Park Avenue. It's a very well-trafficked road, very busy. There's several commercial businesses along this road, a lot of residential units. Within the 1 mile proximity, square mile of this proposed location, there's over 15,000 people. We think that this population density very much supports an additional dispensary in this area. And furthermore, you'll hear from Kayla later with the letters of support that we received from community feedback that local community members and community groups would like to see a dispensary specifically on Hyde Park Avenue. While knowing that there are other dispensaries in the area, they thought that it would be a convenient location for one. We would also like to address the practical distance between our location and the other location that we are within the buffer zone of. If you take into account the impassable barriers between the two sites, if you were to take a walking path from our location to the other location, it would be about 0.4 to 0.5 miles. So right there at that half mile buffer zone distance. And furthermore, if you were to take a car path from either location, due to one-lane roads, impassable barriers, and bifurcated roads in which you can't turn across traffic due to the traffic structure, the travel distance would actually be a little bit over a mile. So we think that the practical distance between the two locations, the community support we've received, and just the overall population density of the area should be considered in order for us to be granted this buffer zone reduction. I would also like to touch on the elementary school that is within the 500-foot buffer of our proposed location. This is the Philbrook Elementary School. The Philbrook Elementary School is actually scheduled to move from its current location to the Irving building. This is a part of the Philbrook-Sumner merger and Irving building renovation that is scheduled to occur in the fall of 2025. We don't intend to be open by then. We'd love to be, but if we do believe that the school will be gone by the time that we open. Furthermore, on that topic, as you consider impassable barriers between our location and the current location of the school, we are outside of the 500 feet. It is actually 987 feet to take a practical path around the impassable barriers that exist between our location and the school. But again, the school is moving, so we don't see that as being an issue. The last piece I would like to touch on as it pertains to location is our public transportation access. We are located along MBTA lines 30, 32, and 34. We are a short walk to the Roslindale Village Community Rail Station, and we're easily accessible by foot, bike, or car, again, being located on Hyde Park Avenue, a very convenient roadway. We believe that this is a very accessible location in the Roslindale area. So I'll pass it over now to Kayla to get into community feedback.
So looking at community feedback, we actually started, if we can go into the next slide, we actually started our outreach in early 2024 and has been ongoing. Since then, we've had strong relationships with neighborhood associations. We've received multiple letters from people within the community, local businesses, local people, just people within the community itself. And then we also received over 200 signatures from local residents within the greater Boston area. Going into my next slide, the letters of support, I definitely recommend everybody taking the time to read them. They are, again, from local organizations, from our neighbors, and then local people within the Rosendale area. They really show that they are in support of Zenith in our business and also just having a dispensary on Hyde Park Ave. So I would definitely recommend everybody reading those. Going into my next slide of local residential support, we received over 200 signatures from local residents within the greater Boston area. We try to do it specifically within the Rosendale area, but it is the greater Boston area. We did provide email addresses and also addresses and names to you guys as well, so you guys could read those. Looking at our elected officials, as many of you guys know, Rosendale is broken into two parts, two different districts, District 4 and District 5. Zenith would be actually located in District 4, and we were fortunate enough to receive a letter of support from City Council Rep Brian Burwell. And we also were fortunate enough to receive a letter of support from Enrique Pepin, who represents the other side of Rosendale. So to see the support from Rosendale as a whole has been nothing but a blessing. Looking at community organizations, originally we received a letter of support from Mount Hope Manning Cattleberry Neighborhood Association, but we also received a letter of support from Diaspora Mass, which is a local community group that uplifts Black and Brown businesses and individuals within the Boston community. And we honestly look forward to collaborating with them one day. They do host community meetings, or community events. So I hope to definitely link and do something in the future with them. And lastly, I wanted to add that this is something that's ongoing. This is not something that we're going to take a hold to. If anything, this is just the start. We have been connected with Mass Hire, and we also are currently in the works of trying to work with Healy 2 Cummings Neighborhood Association as well. We're trying to do that sometime this month. So that's currently a project that I'm working on. And again, like I said, we want to honestly remain, you can go to the next slide. Thank you. We honestly want to keep our doors open and have quarterly meetings, community meetings for the local people within Rosendale to come to us and honestly give us feedback in order to be the best dispensary we can be. I'm just honestly excited to collab with our local neighbors and to see where we can go. And I'm going to pass this over to my co-CEO, Manny.
All right, thank you guys again for joining us. So I'm going to be going over safety, security, and the floor plan. If we can go to the next slide. So this is going to be our floor plan of Zenith Dispensary. Being, like I said, that my background is in security, and I work for a highly secure government building. So I kind of wanted to take some of that and implement it into this floor plan. I think the most important part of having a good floor plan is just ensuring that the flow of customers and people coming in is smooth, and that people could come in and out, grab what they need, and go about their ways. With that being said, so we have the entry lounge here on the bottom left corner. Patrons will come in, they'll check in at the front desk. Once they are verified through a 3-point verification process, they'll get buzzed into the sales floor, which is just another form of security for us, so we don't have people running in and out or coming in and, causing a havoc. Once they're in the sales floor, they'll be greeted by the staff, in which they can shop around, look at products, do what they have to do. Once they purchase their products, there is an exit in the sales floor, which is controlled by a buzzer, and people could come in and out easily and then be escorted quickly into our parking lot and go about their day. If we can just go to the next slide, I'll be talking about the rest of the floor plan in a second. In terms of personnel and security on site, we're going to ensure that all of our agents are well trained and well versed in our security procedures. Like I said, we're going to have a 3-point ID verification, which is just to ensure that nobody who shouldn't have cannabis or any minors have access to the cannabis. We're also going to be monitoring all access points and surroundings at all times. due to just wanting to have a secure area and a secure dispensary. The facility itself will be surrounded by 24-hour high-definition surveillance cameras. This is going to be crucial for us to be able to just monitor all areas, make sure people aren't loitering around, there's no trash being disposed of on premises. We have commercial-grade locks, alarms, and break-in detection systems. This is crucial for us while we want to maintain strong communications with our local law enforcement. In case anything does, in the rare event that anything does occur, they have access to our floor plans, to our inventory rooms, and they'll just be well versed in what any actions that they need to take at our dispensary. And then lastly, the youth prevention. This is a huge part of our prevention. Down to the look of our building, we wanted to ensure that we don't stick out like a sore thumb to children. Any kids that come in, we don't, I mean, there's no kids coming in, but in case somebody underage does come in, we have the verification checks that will be able to mitigate that. And then we also want to secure any waste or anything that we dispose from the dispensary in case it just gets into the wrong hands, to try to prevent that from children.
Beauty, that is your 10 minutes. I don't know if you want to just give a brief wrap up.
Yeah, I was just going to talk a little bit about the cash handling and the products. We're going to ensure that we have, like I said before, great top of the state-of-the-art storage systems and procedures in place in order to ensure that the cash and the product isn't getting into the hands of anybody that it shouldn't be getting into the hands of. We're going to ensure that we have locked vehicles unloading products and things of that nature. We're gonna have log books to ensure that we can keep track of who's in and out, who's handling what products, who's handling what money. And if we can just quickly go back to the floor plan, you can see that on the left side, which is where our parking lot will be located, we will be able to have an entrance so that we can drop off inventory directly into our inventory room. We can prepare any cash deposits that we want in the office, so everything is quick and isn't exposed for in a long period of time.
Can I add to that too? Or am I too close on time?
Your 10 minutes, and we have a packed agenda. So if you want to quickly add to that,
Just close real quick, please. So we actually have our diversity and inclusion plan and also our employment plan. They're both designed to keep ongoing engagement throughout the community, and I definitely recommend everybody taking the time to read those. I just want to thank everybody to taking their time out of their day to listen to us. This has been a ongoing project. It's been a minute, so I just appreciate everybody and thank you.
Thank you. We will move to questions and comments from the board members, beginning with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thanks. Can you tell me how long you've been working on this location and some of the changes you've got to made from your original application?
Well, we originally started in early 2023. I think it was September 2023. We haven't made any changes, I would say. It was just throughout, like, we've been in the process for so long, being due to funding. We are social equity applicants, but it has been taking us some time. But Manny, you want to add to that?
Yeah, we would have hoped to get through the process a lot quicker. Along the road, I'm sure anybody can attest to this. We've hit a couple bumps in the road and just like dealing with different departments within the city and just waiting on other people's clock to get us the documentation that we need. Fortunately enough, we have gotten to this point, but it's just been a lot of just waiting and waiting for the approval from like city groups, from the CBA, and then from the zoning. So it's just been
zoning took us about a year just to receive. So it's a long process.
Yeah, they were waiting for ISD since they submitted in April of 2024. And when did you guys get that letter? Wasn't it within like the last?
Yeah, it was like March.
6 months to get the letter from ISD. It took quite a while.
And we're certain the school's moving? I don't know a lot about that school.
Yeah, if you can, on the presentation, there's a link that you can click and it'll show you the steps of where they are in that renovation and moving stage. And they should be actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Irving Sumner School will be opening this fall, this school year.
That's what it says in the project. It says it's been approved. So.
Okay.
I attended the Philbrick, so I kind of had some insight to that before we actually selected the location.
And we confirmed that, Chairwoman Joyce. The school is moving, so.
Thank you. I might have questions after public testimony, but right now I don't have any.
Thank you. Commissioner Holmes?
Yes, good afternoon. Manny, sir, will
Ma'am.
you be working with any established security teams and plans? And as far as so it's a two-part. Are you working, let me answer first one. Are you working with any established security companies?
Other than like the transportation of like money and products, we do not. I'm not against it. I'm open to maybe implementing that. I feel like for the area, again, I grew up in the area. It's pretty safe. It's pretty, there's pretty good people that live in the area. Again, that doesn't mean that anything can't happen, but I'm not against it.
You said you have a security background. What is
Mhm.
it?
Well, I've worked security the last couple of years. I work right now in this for General Dynamics. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the company. General Dynamic creates, for lack of better terms, I guess they create the technology for the military government, which is UAVs, things of that nature. So I've been able to learn and pick up on what is a good security team and what it takes to be on point with a security team. And I just, like I said, I've implemented that into the floor plan. And of course, once we're operational and open, God willing, we can take that further step into training employees and ensuring that there aren't any employees that are less trained or less educated in security than any other.
And who would be doing that training?
I would be taking part in it for sure. I mean, we've developed a security plan, obviously, and that we can, use in real time once we are open. But I mean, it would probably be me, and like you said, maybe if we hired somebody as well, a security team. I mean, I'm open to anything, really.
How many security employees do you anticipate needing for this location?
It's a small space, and like I said, since we want to ensure that we have the flow of people coming in and out, we don't want to have too many people there that can overwhelm the staff or overwhelm the security team. So I'd assume maybe 2 people for our location. It's just under 2,000 square feet. So
Yeah, and on top of that, we're only using the top half of the building. So if anything, we might not even need to. We might only honestly need one.
Never say never, Miss Kayla. Never
That's
say
true.
never.
That's true. No, you're right.
Never say never.
But what I also want to add though is there's a bunch of I don't know exactly what it is, but it is a spot where a lot of police officers hang out. It's literally right across the street from our location.
It's the union. It's the
Yeah.
police union office.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So then there's a police union
But
office.
they're not going to be your security.
No. They won't be our security, but we also have they've supported us as well. So hopefully that also lightens the load a little bit, but
That has nothing to do with your establishment. I get what you're saying, but their job is not to secure your establishment.
no.
You have to stop talking, Kayla. You have to be responsible for your location. So I would hope that you would both think that you needed more than one person to be your security. And I would hope that you both utilize meeting with some established cannabis security teams to help you put your security plan together.
Sure.
Yes. Okay.
And as far as your money transportation, Manny, I forgot your last name, so forgive me for calling you by your first
That's your
name.
fault.
Your transportation of both your goods and your finances, have you set with an established company to help you with that as
We've been
well?
in communication with, I think it's Eagle Eye Transportation.
Eagle Eye.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been in communication. We've, done our due diligence to make sure that we have those ducks in line so that when we do hopefully, get approval and get to that point, we can just jump on board and get everything aligned. I just personally, I know I've tried to incorporate my experience at dispensaries. I know when I go to dispensaries, I've been to plenty throughout Massachusetts. They don't always have security guards, and sometimes it can make customers feel a little like, you know what I mean? They're like watching, like, I don't know if they necessarily feel safe all the time with a security guard or security officer. And I've heard that through, our outreach to the community. So I'm considering it, but I'm not against it, like I said.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the questions.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Jasmine. How are you all doing? Talking a little bit about your diversity and inclusion plan, page 29. You guys talk about you promote equity by empowering women, racial minorities, and individuals with disabilities, LGBTQ. Talk a little bit about your empowerment strategy here. What do you mean by that?
Well, partly in I think in empowering people, I think that look just like me and Kayla, and we are from the community. I think we know what it takes and what it looks like to actually empower people. For example, like when me and Kayla started this process, we had no idea of what we were doing, what was going on, how to actually move forward within the industry. And I think that with our plan and what we want to do, we want to provide informational sessions to the community and people that look like us to gain access about gain information about the industry. You know what I mean? There's not many people like us in the industry, so we want to make sure that they have the resources, the access at least to the resources to be able to educate themselves on those topics. That for me was a big part of this process that we struggled with. Sometimes we think we were 10 steps ahead when in reality we've only taken 2 steps. So I hope that answers your question.
So tangibly, you're basically saying that you're going to help people understand the business or start businesses or.
I mean, which, like Kayla said, it's going to be an always evolving process. I think first we want to provide those resources to people and provide that information, like to kind of sprout those ideas within people, because you never know. Like I had no clue about the social equity program. You know what I mean? That's for an example. Now, if we have a meeting about social equity, maybe somebody will come to me like, yo, I want to learn more. Maybe we'll have another informational session where we can have people that come and talk in front of groups and that want to be educated on the topic and get them into those rooms and a foot into those doors, if that makes sense, if that answers the question.
How many people are you thinking of hiring?
Say it again?
How many people are you thinking of hiring?
I'm not sure. I think,
We're not trying to do more than 30, 30 employees. It depends on, honestly, I wanted to do 30 employees. I wanted to do full time. I want to have all the benefits included. But this is, again, this is a growing process. I'm new to this, so I don't know if 30 will be too much or too little, but I want to start off around 30.
So 30 full-time and benefits?
Well, I don't 30 employees. Majority of them will be full-time. I don't know exactly if they're going to be 30 full-time employees because I don't think 30 employees full-time that's math-wise, that doesn't make sense.
I think we're also going to gauge it based on like as we start rolling from opening day on our need base on like a need base type of thing. I don't think we're going to just start flat out the first day and have 30 employees. You know what I mean? We have to see how things are, how business is running. It is a business, so it has to be sustainable. You know what I mean? But again, we want to hire and actually give adequate pay and adequate benefits. Like I've seen some of the pay these bud tenders get, and I don't think $15 an hour is really cutting it. So
what's your starting?
Say it again.
You're starting it?
We propose the Boston minimum wage as a minimum.
You're proposing what? I'm sorry?
The Boston living minimum wage. We're proposing that as a minimum for starting.
You talk about your plan being deeply integrated into hiring and vendor selection and all that. Talk a little bit about the vendor selection. How are you selecting those vendors?
Eventually, I think
like certain vendors you want to work with, and are they from different marginalized or I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So, and you guys feel free to jump in whenever, but so throughout the process, we've been going to a lot of different cannabis. Say it again.
So I want to look for those type of vendors. I don't know if I'm frozen.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Sorry.
Manny, you could take that, I guess. I'm sorry, my computer's not working.
Like a lot of different cannabis events and that they have and organized across Massachusetts, and we've been kind of educating ourselves firsthand on who are the other growers, the different people in the market and in the industry that are people that look like us, Black or brown or Latino, that we want to work with. We actually have I wish I would have brought my list. I'm at work right now, but I actually have a list of different brands that are minority owned that I want to work with, that I've heard of, that I've tried myself being a consumer myself. So we've kind of gone that route and just educating ourselves. And of course, down the road, we're going to run into other people just through, through vendors and, word of mouth that are minority or equity applicants as well. So we really want to try to collaborate with people that have similar views as us, similar beliefs as us, And I think that's something that's really big into our business model.
And we do have it as a part of our diversity and inclusion plan. It's one of our goals, and we've set metrics in which we intend to reach on an annual basis for how many of those types of businesses we're working with. Like the ones that Manny's mentioning, we have metrics for how many of them we'd like to work with at a minimum, so we can gauge that over the course of a year and see if we can reach that goal.
Was it 2%, I think, or something?
I don't have it in front of me. I think it might be around 15%.
Okay. All right, no more questions for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gandhi?
Thank you. I have a couple of
Where's she on the screen?
Oh, she's frozen on my, okay, she's frozen.
Okay, yeah.
She's
I
frozen.
thought it was my computer again.
Commissioner Gandhi, your computer's frozen. We'll come back to her. Commissioner Kinsley?
Do you plan on having like dedicated bud tenders and dedicated back of house staff, or do you envision people will be kind of like mixing back and forth between those roles?
I can answer that one. It's a little bit of a mixture. We want bud tenders that can be trained to have access to the inventory room, but they'll be stationed on the floor. But then we also want to have a dedicated inventory agent that'll be handling incoming inventory, inventorying that into the point of sale system. But we do want to cross-train employees so that they can go into the inventory room as well to access product and fulfill orders, help out with the inventory staff, especially when they're doing other inventory related work.
Will there be a difference in wage rates between those positions, or will it be the same starting rate across the board?
Inventory would likely warrant a slightly higher starting rate, but it will depend on the person and what they're expected of, how much they work, full-time, part-time. But generally speaking, inventory can earn a little bit more than bud tender. Or it could be you start as bud tender, and then once you complete the inventory training, you'd receive a raise for now having multiple duties.
You said you plan on having primarily full-time employees, or at least like as many as you can handle. Do you plan on having them being like guaranteed 40 hours a week, or will it be just based on the federal like 30-hour standard to get benefits?
The goal will be for the full-time employees to receive the 40 hours a week. And then our intention is to have part-time employees so that we can fill gaps just from running the dispensaries and dealing with staffing. It'll be very helpful to have other part-time employees to help fill areas where maybe our full-time employees are unable to be available for. So I'd say up to 40 hours would be the goal for the full-time staff.
How many managers will you have on site?
I'd say Kayla and Manny splitting their time, and then probably starting with like an assistant manager or two to begin with to assist Kayla and Manny when they're not able to be there or during busy times to help them.
Do you plan on having a human resources representative on site?
Yes, as of now, Kayla would be our point person for human resources for the time being.
And do you have a plan for like sexual harassment and professional behavior awareness training for the management as well?
Yes, it is a part of the management has to undergo training for that. And then it is also to be trained to all of the staff members as a part of their 8 hours of required annual training. So the management team first will be trained on that. If you were to be promoted to a manager, that would be a part of the manager training, is to receive that training. And then if you're training other people, it is a part of the 8-hour training that all the staff gets annually.
Okay. And then could you just tell us a little bit more about the retention plans you have and like advancement within the company for people that you have hired on as bud tenders or inventory specialists to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes along with what Manning was talking about in terms of providing opportunities. We're looking to promote from within. So the ideal candidate would start at an entry-level position, maybe that's like a floor agent or a bud tender, and then move up into inventory. And then from there, after learning all the different positions that we have, being able to become an assistant manager, and then being able to become maybe a general manager at some point. We want to have familiarity within our staff so that we have familiarity with our customers, so that when people are coming back to the store, they're familiar with the people that have been working there, as well as to foster a team environment amongst the people who work there. So again, just more familiarity. So that's definitely one of our goals, is to continue offering opportunities to our current staff members to rise to the ranks, earn more money, and potentially more hours if they were to maybe start as a part-time employee.
And do you plan on offering any discount programs for your own products to your staff?
Yeah, definitely. That'll be a part of when you join the team, you'll get a discount on product.
It's mandatory.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Gandhi, I see you're back. Have any questions?
Yes, I apologize. I'm not sure what happened there. So I have a couple of questions. Number one, what is currently existing on that site?
Say it again.
So what currently exists on that site? I see it's a kind of a low.
So currently it's not vacant.
The building's been vacant for
Before, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Before it was an esthetician place back, I think 3 years ago. But she seems like she moved to the Newberry area, but it's been vacant since.
Okay, and what's your plan for signage?
I don't know if we added that actually to the slide, but we plan on adding a signage on the siding of the building, on the right by the parking lot area, that main area. We plan on adding a Zenith to the side of that. And I think that's the only signage we plan on adding on the outside of. Yeah.
I touched on it a little bit. I didn't want to, the building is kind of like, I've grown up in that area and nobody ever really notices that building. Nobody pays attention to that building. So we kind of want to keep it like that. And we kind of want to have that wow factor for when people come in and they can see the transformation of the building. If that makes sense, we don't want kids to see the building or notice the building or have beautiful signage. We have one sign on the side so people know that they've arrived that says Zenith. But other than that, we're going to keep it pretty much the same outside look.
Then there'll just be the required signage on doors for ID required,
yeah,
office hours, restricted, things like that.
Yeah, the reason I ask is I know it's been kind of empty and vacant for some time, and as part of someone who cares a lot about the built environment, I think it's important that the building is clean. Looks like it's not an unsafe location. Does not look like it's a vacant property that folks can get up to. So that was the reason for my question there. Parking. I know your application says you have 13 parking spaces, but you've talked about the number of employees going from a couple to 30. And then you also have, obviously, when you've got the customers coming in. So what is your plan for parking for employees, and what is your plan for parking for customers?
I can touch upon.
Oh,
go ahead, Jack.
I'll let you go after Manny, but I was just going to comment that there is some additional parking that we wouldn't allow for customers in the rear of the building. So there would be some availability for some employee-only parking, and then up front we could reserve that for the customers. And then obviously, with our goal of hiring locally, we do hope to get some local people that don't have to drive. But you go ahead, Manny.
I was also going to say we hired a traffic study business, I guess, for lack of a better term, Fuss and O'Neill. They came and did a traffic study on the area and determined that our dispensary wouldn't have a negative impact on available parking or the flow of traffic, crash rates, things of that nature. If I remember correctly, I think out of the 86 parking spots at any given time, they did a study between 1 and 6 in the afternoon, and during any given time, there was no more, out of those 86 parking spots, there was no more than 50 something of those parking spots taken. So it leaves about 30 other available parking spaces, street parking, right in front of our building down to the nearest, residential road, you can say, on our side of Hyde Park Ave. So I think there'll be viable parking and parking spaces for people to come, or for our employees as well.
Thank you. That's super helpful. And do you have a plan for employee T-Pass subsidies?
T-Pass subsidies.
Would you, sorry, I didn't hear it.
If folks are taking the bus, if your employees are taking the bus to their location, or ideally walk, they said Manny, it's not Emmanuel. But is there a plan for to offer T-Pass subsidies so that there is a minimal traffic and parking need and impact?
Yeah, I don't think we're against that. I wouldn't be against that. I'm a Boston public school student, obviously. So like we used to get like our T passes if we lived more than 2 miles away. So I'm not against that. That's actually a really good idea that I think us as a staff who obviously would love to implement if possible. So
Yeah. I think that's something we didn't think of. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, we'd definitely be open to stuff like that.
Thank you. I think I'd like to, if possible, see what the signage looks like from the outside, just the exterior signage, but that would be my one request.
Okay.
We can definitely provide that. And it's Manny, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the logo that was at the beginning of our presentation, but we can provide normal.
It would just be just like that. I think honestly painted. I don't even think it would be an actual sign. Maybe we can get a sign, but I was thinking kind of like because that building, like I said, it's been vacant and dead there for years. I really want to try to like bring that life back into the building. So I want to maybe do a mural or just do a nice painting on the side of the building that just lets people know that they arrived at Zenith.
Sorry, one last question. Site cleanliness and ensuring that the site is clean and is well maintained from the street. What is your plan for that?
Well, like I said during the security, my security presentation, we're going to be monitoring the area. We're going to have agents obviously monitoring the area. So at any given time, if there's trash building up or if there's, people loitering around, obviously we want to get them going and about their day. And then any mess, we want to be able to at least in the beginning of the day, end of the day, and middle of the day, check in and just, clean up and do our due diligence. Like we're leaving a footprint on the community. So we don't want to leave a trash footprint, if anything, you know what I mean?
And furthermore, we do intend to have our camera system will be accessible inside of the store, particularly in the manager's office, with live view of everything that is going on around the perimeter. So we'll have someone that's able to monitor that at all times, like Manny mentioned, in terms of loitering.
That's super helpful. Thanks so much.
And also, sorry, I just quickly looked through your application. Can you submit the traffic study you guys did? Because we don't have that. I don't see it in.
Yeah, I don't believe we did submit that, but we can provide it.
Yeah, I think it was in one of our other presentations to our local presentations, but
Yeah, our local community meeting, I think we added it, but we could get that over to you. It's fine.
Sorry, Commissioner Smith.
Thanks, Jasmine. Sorry. I had actually one more question, and thank you, Commissioner Gandhi, about the transportation. I was going to ask that, but the last question is, in your benefits, you have paid time off, parental leave, stipends, retirement plan. What are the stipends about? You're stipending folks?
I think that would pertain to the paid time off, as well as sick leave, earning hours. From working hours, earning paid time off. I think that's what it would pertain to.
Stipending people for time off? Okay.
Yes, yeah, for paid time off.
And do you have any sort of community benefit plan? Like how you think you're benefiting the community at large?
Yeah, definitely. I'll let Kayla and Manny talk about it a little bit more, but in our diversity and inclusion plan, we have several goals to be working with the local community, specifically for hiring, working with local community groups, so that we can be engaging and utilizing the existing infrastructure within the community to make sure that when we do have job opportunities available, that we can reach out to local members effectively. And I'll let Kayla and Manny talk about that outreach.
Yeah, I've been pairing up with, I'm trying to pair up currently with Mass Hire. I also want to speak to a different neighborhood association. Yes, we are currently in connection with Mount Hope, but I want to increase that and I want to do more than that. So I want to speak to other neighborhood associations as well, and do employment through them and do different collaborations through them. Again, Diaspora Mass as well. I just want to be overall with more included within our community. I just don't want to be a business propped up, hey, come by, you know what I mean? Like I want to actually be within the community, being that we're from here too.
Thank you for that, Kayla Yee, sorry. That sounds more in the community partnership. I'm talking about the community benefit. Like how do you see that your operation will benefit this community? I get the hiring, I get the partnering.
I think, and sorry to cut you off, John. I don't mean to cut you
It's
off.
all right.
I sometimes it comes through delayed. I think in terms of just to get away from the business aspect of it, I think in terms of community, being that is my community, I literally have lived there for 28 years. I want to see more. I guess living there, I've always seen the absence of like kind of businesses and the collaboration within the direct community. I would love to be able to, and I know in some aspects we are limited because we are in a the cannabis industry, but I want to be able to collaborate with other community groups, and I know they do like um, certain events or block parties and things of that nature where we are actually interacting with the community. I'm a child development major myself, so I know, again, we can't market or do anything like that towards children, but I would love to be able to somehow create a day for children or some type of event that is for the community where we can all come together and just enjoy, like I said, a block party, or if it's not an organized event or a cleanup of a certain area. You know what I mean? I want to be that type of pillar for my community. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions from the board members? All right, we'll move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information in the community process. So we hosted a community meeting on January 29th that was well attended on premise. In that meeting, there was a lot of questions regarding operational hours, potential impacts on traffic. The applicant was able to address those questions and mentioned their traffic study. There were a couple of residents who expressed concerns about this business potentially contributing to existing issues with loitering in the area, litter, as well as separately, women had concerns about the advertising for the business and its proximity to various families in the area with small children. There were multiple other residents that were on that meeting, though, that expressed support for the proposal, mentioning that the building had been kind of cycling through businesses for a while, and they were looking forward to a business they thought could really be an attraction in the neighborhood and attract people to patronize other shops. They also felt that it would be an improvement upon the streetscape, adding security and lighting to fix some of these issues, such as the loitering that was mentioned. As mentioned, there was concerns, mention of a BPS school nearby, but there was also described how that school is going to be relocating and merging with a separate BPS school. So at that meeting, there were members of the Mount Hope Canterbury Neighborhood Association that were present. They had a lengthy conversation with the applicant. The applicant later appeared before the Mount Hope group as well, giving their full presentation. With that information, we'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Diana.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Diana Bronchick again from Councilor Pepin's office of District 5. While this dispensary will not be located in District 5, it is near the district. As the applicants have stated, we do support this business. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives that would like to speak? Luke, did anyone sign up to testify?
No, not for this matter.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to testify? All right, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
very much.
We will move to our next item. The applicant is Curaleaf, Massachusetts, Inc. The proposed license premise is 21 Milk Street, downtown. The license type is a co-located marijuana retailer and medical treatment center license. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. This is a non-equity applicant. They filed their application February 20th, 2025. They filed with Inspectional Services February 24th, 2025. And they held their community meeting on April 3rd, 2025. There was a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment. Who is present on behalf of the applicant?
Hey, Jasmine, Pete D'Agostino with 10X Strategies on behalf of Curaleaf.
Thank you. You have 10 minutes. You may share your screen and begin.
Okay, just let me know, get the screen up here for you. And are you able to see that okay?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Pete D'Agostino on behalf of Curaleaf and 21 Milk Street. I have a whole group of Curaleaf team members here also to answer questions as we go through. Lots to cover in 10 minutes. I will go through it quickly and be here to answer any of the board's questions. I'll note that everything we presented here today was also included as part of our application overview, which I know the board has had some time to review. Included in the discussion today will be all the elements included as part of the board's review of a submitted application. Jasmine just listed the summary of the proposal, so I won't restate that. I will note 21 Milk Street was previously, for 9.5 years, operated as a co-located recreational medical dispensary. So this is a new operator within a previously existing space. For diversity and inclusion, this is a big part of what Curaleaf does, and I will highlight some things quickly and look forward to going back it over with the board later. We did establish specific targets within each of the demographics as we submitted to the board. Curaleaf tracks that as a function of annual reporting based on voluntary disclosure by team members. Goal 2, this is a great program. We offer basic skills training to help drive professional growth. Just to give you a sense of how successful this is, just in 2024 and just in Massachusetts, over 180 employees participated in this program, and they completed over 2,200 hours of learning, and it's called Cura Campus. So this is a great tool for employees. Goal 3 is mandatory annual anti-discrimination and harassment training, includes a litany of subject matters as indicated here, and Curaleaf does track the completion of that training. Additionally, and this is really shows the culture of diversity and inclusion for Curaleaf, they have an initiative called Rooted in Good. I would encourage you to Google Curaleaf Rooted in Good. There's an entire webpage devoted to this, highlights everything they're doing in the industry, not just here in Massachusetts, which they do here in Massachusetts, but across the country. It prioritizes both social equity, diversity, and those disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that later. As part of this program, Curaleaf also has an employee resources group. Really cool program. It's employee-led, self-directed voluntary groups based on the employee's areas of interest. The company has already established several groups, including Curaleaf Cares, Curaleaf in Color, Family Leaf, Women's Cannabis Collective. All of this is on that same web page where you can read and learn a lot more about the specifics of these programs, but also highly attended and participated by the team members. With that, the ERGs do have established objectives, which we can certainly cover more later, but they have a defined purpose for what they're trying to do. Also, as it relates to diversity and inclusion, Curaleaf has an open door policy. I'm just highlighting that for awareness. Also very interesting is they have an ethics and compliance hotline through a company called Ethics Point. This allows any team member to file any information they feel is appropriate, whether it be a compliance issue, HR issue, or whatever. And if at their choice, the employee can file it confidentially or anonymously. So it's a great tool for the team members. Location is going to be familiar to many of you, but just to give you a little bit of background on Curaleaf, Curaleaf's roots are actually here in Massachusetts. They operate 3 stores here and over 150 stores nationally, and not including cultivation and manufacturing. They are one of the first licensed medical marijuana stores, and they try to find places where they can do good in the community, and they think this location fits that bill perfectly. As we all know, the Milk Street area could certainly use continued investment in infrastructure and storefronts. It's important to keep those storefronts filled, and Curaleaf intends to be a good partner and is here to stay. They also chose this location because of the high level of pedestrian traffic. And as the board knows, in the downtown Boston's Alliance District, there's currently only one other store, which creates a lack of product diversity, supply, and pricing competition, which negatively impacts consumers. So that's important. But perhaps the most important thing is when the prior operator at Milk Street closed, it removed patient access to cannabis. And by approving Curaleaf to reopen in that same location, it would restore patient access to cannabis, which does not currently exist in downtown Boston. The location is just an overview. It's located where the orange Curaleaf logo is, for those that aren't familiar with the prior cannabis location. There's no proposed changes to the existing floor plan that the board had previously reviewed and approved under the prior operator, so we'll operate the same way on the street level. The lower level also will retain the same floor plan and layout that the board had previously reviewed and approved. No changes there. As to the buffer, Curaleaf understands it's outside of all required buffers except for the proximity to another cannabis establishment. I believe this might be, Madam Chair, the first time this is before the board where Milk Street was actually the first site in downtown Boston, and everyone else applied for buffer relief from Milk Street. So all of those other businesses that fall within the buffer made reasonable arguments that the city ultimately accepted and cited within the Milk Street buffer. And so we actually don't know that this is much of an issue. The board has considered the proximity of Milk Street to the other locations and awarded waivers to that buffer for those businesses. So we think this is probably less of an issue than it would be in other places. There are no schools within the buffer. Access to public transportation, very strong here. We have State Street, Downtown Crossing, and Park Street stations. This store itself is ADA accessible. However, there's no on-site parking other than street parking. Employment plan includes a plan to hire approximately 30 team members. The goal here is a minimum of 50% Boston. Always want to do more, but just to put something on the board. We also identified some certain percentages within certain demographics, which we previously discussed. I would encourage the board, I hope we come back to this, really great benefits package, competitive wages. The minimum is in accordance with the Boston ordinance, also includes the MBTA perk program for all employees, referral programs, employee discounts, employee resources groups, that's for everyone. Full-time employees will get additional benefits, including medical, dental, vision, 401k, so on and so forth. So I hope we'll come back to that. Employment plan for individuals with a criminal record, the goal is a minimum of 10%. In the job postings, it will say, quote, individuals adversely impacted by the war on drugs are encouraged to apply. We think that's a very welcoming statement that people can read in the comfort of their own home and know that they're encouraged to apply. And then, of course, we'll work with the city of Boston and their appropriate programs to get the word out when we are doing hiring. Community outreach, this was an incredibly successful initiative for us. We're grateful that Councilor Flynn had provided a letter of support to the board. We're also grateful for the Downtown Boston Alliance, formerly the BID, as well as the Downtown Boston's Neighborhood Association, who both have provided letters of non-opposition to the board. We're also grateful for the community members, the best downtown business owners, and Boston residents who have all provided letters of support. This is a very high-level overview of some of the key meetings that we had. As you know, the downtown has an incredible amount of people that we needed to communicate with. We believe we got everybody within our buffered area and the appropriate neighborhood groups. And so that was a good initiative, and we're happy with the outcome of that. Happy to talk more about it. Safety and security, we met with BPD and others. The consensus amongst the group was there was no enhanced security that was needed in the Milk Street area, specifically around City of Boston cameras. We did ask, was there anything we could do to contribute to the ongoing efforts in the Winter and Washington Street neighborhood, which is right down the street? As a result of those conversations, Curaleaf, in coordination with BPD, is going to be adding or upgrading 7 new cameras over 5 locations in downtown Boston. It's in this area generally. Obviously, we didn't highlight exactly where the cameras would be, but that's the area that we're going to provide some additional security for the neighborhood. On-site security will be conducted by staff members who will receive specific training around that. They'll do ID checking the area, make sure there's no loitering, so on and so forth. I think the board's fairly familiar with how these operate in the downtown area, and this will operate in much the same way. Cameras will be positioned in all areas that contain cannabis, as well as points of entry and exit. We're estimating approximately 20 cameras subject to CCC final approval. Preventing youth access, obviously no one under 21 can come in the store. The ID checks are done at point of entry and at point of sale. The only exception here, for the board to note, obviously medical patients would be allowed to enter the store, and they may potentially be under 21 in accordance with the state law and regulations. Planning for transportation, as you know, this store operated as a co-located adult use and medical for 9.5 years. We will use the same delivery methodology that the prior operator used. There's a dedicated delivery area for deliveries, and so we'll operate in the same way that has worked there for quite some time, almost a decade. Transportation of money will be done in accordance with the regulations and Curaleaf's SOPs. And with that, Madam Chair, I will turn it back over to the board for any questions or comments they may have.
Thank you. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions, comments?
I'm going to defer to the other commissioners right now, but I will circle back to me before we go on to public testimony.
Commissioner Holmes?
I can't think of any at the moment. I might come back.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Jasmine. You talked about sort of downtown needing more cannabis stores.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go back in my memory here. I think, don't we have like 3 or 4 of them right now? And I think I'm thinking Pure Oasis, Rasta Roots, I think is one. Apex.
Mm-hmm.
Primitive, right? So that's like 4, I think. And I think, if I remember correctly, so over the years of doing this, I think all 4 of them are like equity owned, and you're pretty big. I think Curaleaf is one of the bigger cannabis retailers.
Right.
So I'm not sure that downtown is lacking the diversity of stores that you're saying or product, and wondering if you are at all thinking about the impact your business might have in terms of these other 4 minority businesses.
Yeah, it's a great question, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand the question completely. So all those stores you listed are all serve their own area, right? If you think of how they're located, we have some over by Faneuil Hall. You have one closer over to the old State House where Pure Oasis is. You have one by South Station, kind of serving that area. But when you look at the downtown Boston Alliance map, that kind of area that defines that part of the city, there's only one, which is Pure Oasis. And so when you look at the movement of people through the city, there's no one that kind of is coming down from the Boston Common Winter Street area through that neighborhood. My office is actually right by this. We're on Franklin. So there's nothing over in that part of the downtown. And I know we're splitting the downtown up a little bit. However, the reality of it is that is how it operates. My office is at 100 Franklin. I can't tell you the last time I've been to Faneuil Hall. I just don't go over there, right? I work and operate on the other part of downtown. I actually don't know the last time I walked by Pure Oasis, quite frankly. It's just not within the circle of how I move through that part of downtown. And so I do think
this would be one street over, right?
It's a couple streets over. It's like,
I think it's like one mile.
Yeah, it's 400 feet. Yeah. But to the other part of your question, which I think maybe is more to the point, the prior operator, which was the first one in the city of Boston at Milk Street, was also a multi-state operator. They were a large company. And they were there for a very long time prior to anyone coming else to town. You remember they were Patriot Care initially, and then they became ultimately the Cannabis. And that was a large MSO operating in multiple states at multiple locations. And what's interesting is all the other businesses came after them. And all those other businesses that were social equity applicants came after a large MSO had been operating there for years. And they all thought that locating next to a large MSO was okay for their business. And they actually had to petition this board and the ZBA to get relief from the buffer. So all of those businesses that are there today that are within our buffer ultimately had to seek relief from an MSO to operate within its buffer. And they felt that that was a strong business decision and they were able to have their business there. So I'm not sure that we can now look back and say, well, I want to protect these folks in some way because an MSO is going to operate here. They all had made that evaluation and consideration prior to citing their business there. And this would, if anything, restore the conditions under which they applied to operate their business while providing access to that part of downtown for adult use consumers, and restoring access to for medical patients, which doesn't exist in downtown at all in any of the stores you listed. I say, so for all those reasons, that's where I get very comfortable with it.
Does Ascend have medical?
Which store is it? Where is their location? I don't believe so because there's not another one in downtown. Somebody's going to have to help me with the street rep.
I have to look it up. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't recall there.
The closest medical dispensary is over by Fenway.
Yeah.
By Fenway.
Yeah. Yes. I have the distance. It's in our community outreach meeting, and I apologize I don't have it, but I can get it for you. It was some distance away. So hopefully that answers your questions, but that's why I'm comfortable with it, and I thought it was appropriate because those businesses came into these conditions. It's not a condition that's being placed on them.
And so lastly, you said the other one failed after what, 9 years?
They were there 9.5 years, yes, Commissioner.
And what do you think would make you successful in that space?
Well, the prior operator was very gracious in highlighting to us some of the challenges. And what we learned in our discussion, I certainly can't speak for their business, but what we learned when we asked them what was the number one issue, and they said the minimum purchase was the number one issue. They said, had it not been for the minimum purchase requirement under the new market conditions, they would not have closed the store. They were able to identify that as the single largest contributing factor to closing their business. In our discussions with the city councilor, the Downtown Boston Neighborhood Association, and the Downtown Boston Alliance, formerly the BID, and I'm going to keep calling it the BID probably for some time, all three of those folks are comfortable with eliminating the minimum purchase requirement. And it quite frankly doesn't really make sense anymore given where the market prices have gone. It would encourage people to buy a substantial amount of cannabis instead of just buying a personal use amount of cannabis. So in discussing, and they've indicated such in their letters as well, Commissioner, that they are not seeking the limitation or requirement to have a minimum purchase. They felt as though it had evolved from there. And so to answer your question, maybe to circle back to answer it directly, in talking to the prior operator, they felt that was the number one contributing factor for them not able to maintain the store. And from everybody we've talked to, everybody's comfortable with eliminating that condition, assuming the board is in agreement, obviously.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Garvey?
Thank you, Jasmine. Question. So what are the hours of operation that you're proposing here?
It's 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Sunday, which I believe is consistent with the other stores. Yes, 9 to 8.
And so I'm asking this question because the change of hours of operation is is a pretty common application. And I see you're looking to hire about 30 employees. I know that there isn't any parking on site given the close proximity to teas, et cetera.
Right.
So I guess the question is really kind of making, we want to make sure the businesses are successful. And if there is a future application or any thought about change of hours, what would your plan then be for employee parking, given that our tea service, does not run 24 hours in Boston? Mm-hmm. And so I guess it's I know it's not, you're not asking for change of hours right now, but sure. I just want to make sure that there is some thought process to this because it's hours of operation is one of the more common applications that we see.
Yeah, it is. And historically, I mean, I've certainly submitted several change of hour applications as well on behalf of clients. And I think that was largely because when we initially started these, it was very restrictive and it was very much a test and feel methodology. Let's try something. Let's see if we're comfortable, come back and then we'll give you some more. And I think, the city was just being very pragmatic and really trying to test the waters as they open these stores. But for this location, I don't see a scenario in which even if we requested extended hours later, it would go beyond tea service. Certainly if it did, it's something we would have to address. We do include the MBTA perk program for all employees, whether they're full-time or not. So that's already included. But nonetheless, I don't see an hour of operations that would exceed tea services. If we did that, that would be an appropriate thing for us to need to address. But I will tell you, because, again, my office is, one building from this, this part of the city does start to get quiet rather early. There's not a lot of bars in this area compared to, more the Faneuil Hall side and things like that. So not as much. So we felt we're comfortable with these hours for now. If for some reason we requested additional hours later and they went beyond T service, we would be prepared to speak to that for sure.
And to be clear, I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying, I'm just looking
Understood.
for making sure that that you've given some thought to what future needs might be. And thank you for addressing the next question, which would have been, what are your MBTA? Are there any plans for MBTA perks for the employees?
Yeah, we do the perk program. Yep.
Just to encourage folks to not drive in and not have as much traffic impact. So thank you.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner Kinsley?
I will recuse myself at this time out of caution.
You. Any other follow-up questions from the board members before we move to public testimony? All right, seeing none, we'll begin public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office is on record deferring to the board on this matter. Some background information, the community process. As you're aware, ONS hosted a community meeting on April 3rd. There were members of the Downtown Boston Alliance that were in attendance, as well as the Boston Police Department. There were questions to the applicant regarding, the sale of pre-rolls, long-term plans for the site, if approved, et cetera. The applicant was able to answer those questions, thus concluding the meeting. As you heard, they've also continued to work with the Downtown Boston Alliance and the Downtown Boston Neighborhood Association, securing letters in non-opposition. We understand that the Wharf District Council has an interest in this area and would like to be connected with the applicant. With that information, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Sebastian Parr from Councilor Gabriela Coleta Zapata's office. At this time, the council would like to go in opposition of this project, and she would like to point out as well that the Wharf District Council is in opposition. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Indus Johnson, do you have your hand raised from Councilor Santana's office? I just sent you a request to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Indus Johnson. I am with Councilor at Large Henry Santana, and I would like to also go on record in opposition after lengthy conversation with the Wharf District Council. We also agree that this would not be in the benefit of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives that would like to speak? All right, so I see Rosemary from the downtown. I'm probably gonna call it the bid too, but it's not.
Should I go?
Yeah.
Thanks, I do too. My name is Rosemary Boardman. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Downtown Boston Alliance, formerly known as the Downtown Boston Business Improvement District. We have a position of non-opposition to this proposal. That is the strongest positive recommendation our organization ever offers in this kind of situation. We have been in ongoing conversations with Curaleaf over time after we opposed their request to locate on Winter Street a few years ago. But when this location became available and they expressed interest, we resumed our conversations. We sent a letter in. I won't go through it. I'll sort of get through to the heart of the matter. In the past, as you're aware, we've advocated for license restrictions on cannabis retailers in the downtown, in our catchment area, what we would call the bid. We've continued to learn and have discussions with people and evolve our position. We no longer advocate for a minimum purchase price. We would support removing that from any existing licenses. We would, though, like a ban on pre-roll sales in the recreational market or the adult use market. We understand that that's not possible in the medical market. In this particular case, the hours of operation, we would support and don't see any issues with those. So I appreciate, I should have said this at the beginning, Commissioner Joyce and the other commissioners, I appreciate the time of listening to us and reviewing the comments we made and your, ongoing collaboration with operators and us over the years. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives? All right, we'll move to those that signed up. Luke will go through those names.
Yes, we have Suzanne Lavoie.
Good afternoon. My name's Suzanne Lavoie. I'm the Executive Director of the Wharf District Council. I'm also a resident of Boston. I am in opposition to this primarily because, number one, the Wharf District Council and the Wharf District neighborhood was never notified of this proposed dispensary. We are, and the cannabis locations within the Wharf District are within 0.3 miles of this 21 Melt Street. I became aware of this on May 8th, and I've notified my people here in the Wharf District, the businesses and the residents. And in addition to never having an opportunity to discuss this with the proposed proprietors, we are not in favor of another cannabis dispensary within the 5-mile radius of the Wharf District. It's unfortunate that the people who looked at this proposed dispensary never took a 5-mile radius going full circle. They would see that they were in direct alignment with the Wharf District holding Apex, 21 Broad Street, Roster Roots, also one at 100 High, and in the Faneuil Hall Marketplace. All of them are in the Wharf District. I would also like to note that the gentleman stated that the dispensaries in the Wharf District had to get a variance because of the 21 Milk Street. That is not correct. 21 Milk Street was considered medical. We were never under an obligation to seek a variance because of the 21 Milk. The variance kicked in once one cannabis location came to the Wharf District, and I believe that was 21 Broad Street. That's when all the others had to seek a variance.
Okay, that was your 2 minutes. That's it for this matter, Jasmine.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter?
Jasmine, could we respond if there's no more board comments? I'd like to hear if there are any more, and then I'd respond at the end.
Let's just see if anyone else, and if
Great.
you'll have a chance to reply. Tito Jackson, you have your hand raised. There you go.
Thank you very much to the board for the work that you do. I just wanted to pop on and note, and I've been pretty consistent about my concern about, again, multiple dispensaries in the same area, and essentially a saturation component that we are definitely seeing. And so I just want to, raise these concerns. We are a Black-owned business. We are a social equity, and we were the first social equity business downtown. And we are now at a place where there are currently 5 that are approved, and then we are actually talking about a 6th. So I do have to, raise this concern. We have 31 employees. We are also Corey friendly. 20% of the folks who work at our dispensary have a Corey, and all of these things I believe should be taken into account. Again, the reason why the council initially looked at buffers was so there would not be a green mile in the city of Boston. And unfortunately, this one corner of the city is really flooded right now, and I think it is unfortunate and unfair for residents as well as the businesses who have previously put in resources, time, and energy to make it happen. So I would ask that the board take these things into account when making their decision. This is again a very difficult situation for small Black-owned businesses in the city of Boston. Been here. I just had a 50th birthday. Have lived here all my life, and just want to make sure that we continue to be able to support our employees as well as our customers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to provide testimony? All right, see no one. Pete, if you want, oh, sorry, Kathleen, do you have something?
Just before Pete, it's something that we grapple with as a board, listening to the comments about saturation and competition in this area of the city. There was already a cannabis establishment here. And we have a mandate to have, and there's a 1-to-1 ordinance. We have to cite these places. So I understand competition, and this isn't something that the board came up with. This is something that has been put on us that we have to cite these places. So yeah, competition, I understand it. And the people that left this place, they were the only one in the area that abided by the no pre-rolls. And we're led to believe that's one of the reasons why they closed down. So just things, I understand how difficult it is. Trust me, as chair of the board, I see places struggling every single day on our side. But also it's hard to match that up with, the number of applications come in and what we're being asked to do as far as citing these places.
Pete, if you want to give.
Thank you, Jasmine and Madam Chair. Thank you. I'll try to take these in order, and I'll try to be brief, just in the order we hear them. I will say, as to the Wharf District Council, we did not speak with them directly. However, we did provide all the statutorily and regulatory required abutter notices, both in flyering and in mail. So anybody that was out there, we also did publish in the newspaper the community outreach meeting and so on and so forth. I do think it is important because it seems to merit some noting that the owner of Roster Roots is a director on the Wharf District Council. And I do think there should be some disclosure that a competitor is a director of that board. That shouldn't go without noting. And to the other comments around buffer, it's a little shocking to me, quite frankly, because all of these businesses, there isn't a single business that is in with the buffer that came before the Milk Street store was open. So they all made the decision to come here after there was a multi-state operator operating at this location. And quite frankly, the only one that failed was the multi-state operator because they had to adhere to the rules that were put on them by this board. And we know other businesses are choosing a different path as it relates to their license conditions. I will tell you that Curaleaf, if the board imposes a pre-roll limit, will honor it. They would ask the board to strongly consider placing that limit on them because they would be the only store, I believe, in Boston, never mind just downtown, that would have a pre-roll limitation. We know if anybody's been by the South Station store, their windows are plastered with buy pre-rolls here. I encourage you to drive by and see it for yourself. So I guess I'm saying two things. One, we'd ask the board to strongly consider before placing that limitation, given what other businesses are doing. However, if the board were to impose the pre-roll limit, Curaleaf will honor it. I also hope the board will consider not placing the minimum purchase limit on the license should they choose to move forward with it. The community groups in Downtown Boston Neighborhood Association and the BID have both lifted that request. And Madam Chair, just so you know, what was communicated to us was that the minimum purchase was the limiting factor in them being able to keep their store open. While the pre-rolls hurts, the minimum purchase they identified as the single reason that they closed that business, and had it not been for that, they would have kept the store open. So I appreciate the comments around the buffer, but not a single one of those folks in the buffer were there before this store. And this store only closed in December. This has not been some like they've been living under market conditions without another business there. It was only 4 or 5 months ago that this store closed. And so these businesses that are within the buffer have all thrived. Mr. Jackson has grown his business to 31 employees, all while an MSO was operating on the other side of downtown. And so I would encourage the board to consider the strength of those businesses and the fact that they felt that moving in on a buffer of an MSO was good for their business, and they've actually grown and thrived. So I think the buffer issue is not one that is real as it relates to the impacts of Curaleaf going here. That being said, there's an empty storefront with no interest, and we have a strong corporate partner that's contributing largely to the city already, who's willing to continue to do that. And so that with that, Madam Chair, I'll turn it back over to the board for any final comments or questions of me.
Any additional comments from the board members? All right, seeing none, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to our next applicant. The applicant is Injaga LLC. The proposed license premise is 1102A Blue Hill Avenue in Dorchester. The license type is a marijuana retailer. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. This is an equity applicant. They filed their application on March 11, 2025. They filed with Inspectional Services on March 15, 2019, and they have their community meeting on December 5th, 2025. Before we hear the presentation, I will ask Shakia to read the equity certification into the record.
Thank you, Jasmine. Our office was able to certify Injaga LLC as an equity applicant through the documentation submitted by the applicant, Cleon Byron. Mr. Byron is the president and CEO and 51% beneficial interest holder of Injaga LLC, meeting the 51% ownership interest threshold set forth in the ordinance. Mr. Byron meets the following criteria: a person who has resided in an area of disproportionate impact as defined by the Cannabis Control Commission, or CCC, for at least 5 of the past 10 years. He provided proof of residency certificate from the City of Boston's Elections Department, establishing Boston residency from 2000, at least 2011. The geocoder address search tool confirms that the address provided by Mr. Byron is located in Census Tract 81700, which has been designated as an area of disproportionate impact by the CCC guidelines. He is a person who is of Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, or Indigenous descent. He self-identifies as Black and has provided his driver's license. He also qualifies under a person who has been certified by the CCC as an economic empowerment applicant or is a participant in the CCC's social equity program and is a resident of Boston for at least one of the last 3 years. And he provided proof of participation in the CCC's social equity program and has been an approved applicant as of March 2020. And he also provided his license as proof of Boston residency for at least one of the last 3 years. Are there any questions about this certification?
Thank you, Shakia.
Welcome.
All right, who is present on behalf of the applicant?
Hello, Cleon Byron is present here.
All right, Leon, you have 10 minutes. You may share your screen and begin.
I always have this here. Okay. Put this up there. Sorry. Here we go. Perfect. Thank you. Can everyone see that?
No, we don't see the presentation.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Sorry. I have to get better at this. Okay, here we go. Can you see that?
Yes.
Thank you. Great. Here. All right, I'm just going to start with here. Sorry. Hello, everyone. My name's Cleon Byron. The name of my company is Enjaga. It's a Boston-based cannabis company. My name's Cleon Byron. As you know, I'm a first-generation Caribbean American, and I am a community member. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a networker. I'm a small business supporter, and I'm here to talk about Enjaga today. I'm not going to go through much about myself, so I'm going to skip and go on. Enjaga's core purpose is strengthening our community. We are a locally owned minority business. Our purpose really also, besides providing jobs, is beautification of the location. As you know, 1102, the Blue Hill Ave area has been that way for at least about 20, 25 years. And bringing this business there, we are hoping to help to beautify the location as well. Promoting social justice and diversity. As a business owner, I don't know if you know, I own two businesses and we employ 30 people. And of those 30 people, they are people of color. We've been in business over 30 years. And over those 30 years, we've been hiring people from in the community for those 30 years and from various backgrounds. And we want to bring that to this company as well. And bring those hiring practices as well. Community events, we would like to bring some community events, financial literacy, art, elderly services, health, also insurance, because we do live in an area, unfortunately, that has a lot of death and a lot of youth death. So we want to be able to bring insurance over there so these parents and people in the neighborhood can actually, put some of their kids and people to rest and ease. So that's some of the neighborhood and stuff. And we want to try to curb that as well. DEI, employment, positive impact. We really want to hire local. Our goal is to exceed the diversity plan, I guess, what the CCC or BCB has. We really want to focus on hiring local people from the area within the walking distance. We're going to prioritize contractors in our area. If you know, Boston does have a lot of contractors of color that does great things from plumbing, electrician, and carpentry. So we want to make sure that we hire those people to, work with us in our stores. And a sign-on bonus too for our employees who live in walking distance. Luckily, we are within 3 bus stops within the location, but we really want to advise our staff to, walk so we can, curve all the cars in the parking situation as well. So we do want to do a sign-on bonus. So even when they go home late, we can make sure they take a lift or something home to just make sure that they are safe as well. Biannual multicultural events. We do plan on every 2 weeks or every month or so to honor our employees to show that they're important. Also, with these events, we will be doing training as well. And we want to make sure that we have these trainings to make sure that we have a diverse staff, a well educated staff, and a staff that understands the area and the neighborhood that they serve. As we've been in this community for 20 to 25 years, we have a lot of local support with Wilcox Street, Johnston Road, Balsam, Ashton, Lucerne, inside the area. We did get a letter from Representative China Tyler supporting us in this venture. We talked to a lot of community associations in the area. We did get the Black Network Development Association to support us, and the Blue Hill Ave Association as well. And we did have meetings with the Greater Mattapan Association as well. A proposed retail location will be at 1102 Blue Hill Avenue. Will be 2,000 square feet. As you know, this is a dense, diverse neighborhood. If you know Dorchester, Mattapan, we actually have a huge multicultural community. If you're from Haitian, Jamaican, Trinidadian, Puerto Rican, Dominican, and as you know, the area is gentrifying. So we just have a large concentration of a diverse area in over here. So we just want to cater that as well. We're 0.8 miles from the next dispensary, and we're 0.5 miles from the nearest school. I just want to point out also, when we're talking about traffic, we do have a lot of public transportation in the area. We're located in the Morton and Blue Hill area, which is a turnkey area where that means there's two major roadways that merge. Within that area, we do have these bus lines and transits. We have the 16, the 22, the 28, the 14, and the 29. We will push for local residents and our staff to use blue bikes when they're available. We are going to be ADA accessible. So if you have a wheelchair or maybe have some kind of disability, we'll be able to cater to that as well. Traffic and parking, I think everybody talks about this. With our location, we have 15 off-street parking spaces, and we're uniquely, I'm going to say, settled because our area is mostly commercial. There's not really any residential properties that are adjacent to our building or where we are. We have a few, but not many. So we have probably 15 on street, and then we have about an additional 25 off street parking in our area. And our dispensary will be working like 20% when a lot of the businesses close. If you know the area, a lot of the businesses over there close by 6 p.m. or 5 to 6 p.m. within that time. So within that area, there shouldn't be a lot of traffic also for on street parking as well. We have ample public transit. We have 3 bus stops located from us, one to the left, one to the right, and one directly across from the location. So we're going to promote people to take public transportation because we have public transit all around us. Let me see. And we want to incentivize people, customers, employees who live nearby to come by, walk there instead of driving all the time. Security, I know this is huge. I do have a security plan that's not in here. We do work with Crow Security. We've worked with a plan with the ex-superintendent of Boston Police to draft this plan, and we will continue to work with this company and go with the advice of Crow Security. We will do rigorous employee training on diversion, crime watch, and de-escalation. We will continue with, we want to do the community stewardship agreement. So people who come, patrons who come, will have an agreement just to respect around the area, respect the neighbors, and respect the shop. And we have a great harmonious relationship. There's going to be zero tolerance for nuisance, littering, and public disruption. And we have direct communication and contacts with all neighborhoods, associations, and businesses to enjogger management. Thank you. But to get in touch with me, my name's Cleon Byron again. I'm the president. My number is 818-355-7430. And my email is cleonmbyron@gmail.com. That's the end, and I'm ready for any questions.
Thank you. We'll begin with Chairman Joyce. Do you have any questions, comments? You're muted. There you go.
I do. Thank you for that overview. Can
Thank
you
you.
talk a little bit more about your staffing model?
Yeah, our staffing model for right now, we're expecting to have 15 to 25 employees. We will everyone we're starting off probably with bud tenders for right now, and we will be hiring professional people for the I'm sorry, for the I'm sorry, distribution of the I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, it's killing me. We will have somebody who what's that? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That will be inside the vault area, and we'll probably have 2 people trained for the vault area to distribute the cannabis to the bartenders.
Okay, I mean, how many full-time staff? I'm sure it's materials, but
Right now, we're thinking within that we'll have 12 full-time staff and probably 6 part-time staff to start off with, just to see how the schedule goes.
okay. And right now, when you're approved, and should you be approved, you're planning on operating 9 to 9?
Yes, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about this location and why you chose it.
First, the reason why I chose the location is my mother is a owner of the location, and that was one of the reasons why I chose the location.
Okay. All right, the other commissioners ask you some questions.
Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Mr. Byron, so you don't have a security plan attached. Do you plan on getting with Kroll and presenting us with one, a full security plan?
I would not mind. I actually have all that, and I can send that to you guys after this.
That would be extremely helpful, sir.
No problem.
Okay, so you have it? You just
Yes,
didn't.
I do. I just didn't send it, but I will send it. I thought I did.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. We'll have it before we vote. So make sure you get that into us today, okay?
I will.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Jasmine. Mr. Byron, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good, good. Your goal is to exceed Boston's diversity demographics in hiring. That's what you wrote, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means that I really want to hire people of color, and that's in my area. So I will be hiring people that's within my area, and I feel that we will exceed what is recommended.
You'll exceed it. So is that why you have the sign-on bonus for neighborhood residents?
Yes.
Okay. No sign-on bonus for anybody else, just folks who live right around there?
We could talk about that off air. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I don't need to be hired, but okay.
No.
Do you have transportation benefits for employees? Do you have any other health benefits? Do you have anything like that?
Well, for the full-time employee, we will have health benefits, and I don't want to kind of throw it out there, but we do have Health Connector out there. So with some of my part-time employees, maybe I can, have a way we can pay to make sure that they have insurance as well.
Yeah, it's good to put it out there. The board wants to hear that kind of thing. Let me hear what your plans are. The idea that you don't want to put it out. Hey, You talked about, let me go back, biannual multicultural events honoring employees, DEI, neighborhood. Tell me about, like, what is that about?
Okay.
You
Well,
you're just doing events in the neighborhood to benefit you, neighborhood.
well, some of the events that I'm thinking about is like neighborhood cleanup.
Okay.
In our neighborhood, we actually have a large elderly community. And because I'm over there all the time, they're always asking me for help or to clean up or some type of assistance. So I do it anyway. So why can't we do it together and we be able to do it in a bigger and a larger scale and be able to help more people?
So doing more neighborhood cleanup and working more with, like having the employees work with elderly folks kind of thing?
I think we can have some of the employees, but because we want this to make this a neighborhood thing, maybe we can make it neighborhood fun day, cookout, cleanup day. We can mix it up to make it fun and also make sure that the neighborhood is benefiting at the same time. And then some of the things just might be, let's just walk around the neighborhood. There's a garden in the neighborhood, maybe just getting some extra tools for the people who work the garden. A lot of the elderly people have done this already. I help them fix their gutters. So like little small things that are important for the people in the neighborhood that need the help and definitely don't have the funds to do some of these things.
And you envision your business driving those kinds of things?
I feel hopefully that we're profitable, that some of those profits should be used, I feel this way, to give back and be able to help foster good things in the neighborhood. I don't want to do anything that's against the rules. So I want to make sure that we talk about it and make sure that everything is okay. But I am willing to, and I do it to this day, I am willing to take some of our resources and help the community at large.
What are your dispensary hours?
9 a.m. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
9 to 9?
Yes.
And the last question is from me is, in terms of your community stewardship agreement, you're talking that the customer is signing this or what?
I think we're going to probably just put it on a pad. And when they first come in, we have to explain it to them so they will know. And I think any person
What is
with
it?
common courtesy should be like, that's okay.
Yeah, but what is it? I guess I'm trying to understand what it is.
Oh, it's just saying, hey, I'm gonna respect the store, I'm gonna respect the employees, I'm gonna respect the neighborhood, I ain't gonna throw no trash on the ground, I'm not gonna come and park and throw food away. I'm gonna make sure the way I come and make sure it's nice and clean. I'm gonna be respectful too, because we want people to be polite. So that's part of it as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gandhi, do you have any questions?
Just a comment, maybe. Thank you, Jasmine. Hello, how are you?
Hello, how you doing? Thank you.
Thank you. So the question is, we talked a little about cleanup, and I'm as most folks who live in the city, concerned about this is kind of making sure the site is clean and presentable. So you talked a lot about the community helping with the cleanup. What is your specific plan for ensuring that this sounds like a family-owned site?
Mhm.
Is clean and well maintained, well lit, and the landscaping is, any landscaping, et cetera, is maintained, et cetera. What is your specific plan for that?
Part of a lot of that has to do with the construction of the facility, because a lot of that is in the cost, the lighting, the cameras, the beautification. Also, part of it, my part also is out there looking for ways that sometimes I would like grants, right? And other things to help beautify the location. I have worked with nonprofits, artists, and stuff like that to do things to beautify other locations, and I'm trying to bring those resources to this location as well. I am dedicated to beautifying this place. That I have a passion on that. Like I'm here and I work hard at that, and
just my dedication to beautifying it and making sure it looks good. And the last thing I want to say, and it might sound funny, but my mother loves pretty. Okay. And if I can bring her pretty, that will make me happy.
That sounds great to me as well. The one last question. You mentioned blue bikes. Is there a blue bike station nearby?
There is not one nearby, but I'm going to give you guys a little fun fact. The location that we're at actually used to be a place called G&G's Delicatessen. Truman, Eisenhower came there to pitch for their campaigns before they became president. And sometimes we actually have a historian who comes by there with bike riders and come by and tells the story about the building before it was. And it was a place where politicians used to come and hang in the 1950s, a long time ago. And that's just a little fun fact.
Okay, but there is a blue bike station around?
No, there's not one close. No.
Okay. All right. I asked that question because you mentioned that folks can take blue bikes to the station.
The actual Ansel Street, that's the side of us. It can hold blue bikes right now. It's just a parking lot street. And now, since we're talking about it, maybe I'll make a call and see if that can be something that can be put there, because it is a street that does need some beautification.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kinsley?
Yeah. Do you plan on offering any paid time off or benefits to the part-time employees that you're planning on hiring, or is that something that you're just thinking about you're just able to have for the full-time employees?
Right now, I'm just going to say with the full-time employees, but depending how the store is doing, I might be able to do some wiggle room on that.
Okay. And then you talked about the signing bonus for people within walking distance. Do you have a sense of like how far that radius will actually be?
You know what? I'm gonna probably say good walking in Boston is maybe 2 miles or 1.5. So I'm gonna say maybe 2 miles distance or 1.5, because I think that's a decent walk.
Okay. And then what kind of like management are you planning on hiring within the facility?
Honestly, I've been talking to a couple. I don't want to say the names here on air, but I would not. I will send you the two management companies or people who've been in business 4+ years, who are willing to come in and make sure that I'm going in the right direction.
So you would be like the manager for it, and you would just like rely on outside management consulting to help like answer any questions that you have?
Yes, because at the end of the, I need someone who has more experience when I go into this. I want to make sure that we do things the right way.
But the plan is to have like an outside consultant, not another like full-time manager within the store.
We're No, we're going to have a full-time management in the store, but have an all-time consulting, consulting us on what to do, what's the right steps, what's the right procedure, and making sure that we're doing the right thing.
And then you talked about some of the like area cleanup and like beautification. With like in terms of like the storefront itself and outside, are you planning on having like an outside contracting service that you would rely on to do some of that cleaning, or would you have your actual employees do some of the cleaning outside the storefront?
No, I would have a contracting service, because I want my employees to focus on the store.
And then what types of like employee training and expertise development programs are you envisioning for your employees to help them to help retain them and help them move up within your company?
Well, we will do some management training and probably do some basic employee training. I will have to do some more research on that to figure out what kind of training that we can give them to, make sure that they're the best, and maybe them open their own store themselves. But at this point, they're probably going to just take the basic training that is required by the BCB and the CCC for now.
Are those all your questions, Commissioner Hawkins?
No, that's it for now. Thank you.
Oh. All right, we'll move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information in the community process. As you know, a public meeting was held by ONS on December 5th. It was well attended on the premise. There were many many members of the public who were present that expressed support for this proposal, citing the opportunity for job growth, bringing other resources to the community, such as the cleanup efforts. There was a resident and a butter who would express some concerns just regarding outreach, just asking that the applicant connect with the number of churches that are in the area, and also expressing his personal distaste for marijuana and what it could bring to the community. But he remained open and wanted to continue working with the applicant to better Onslow Street, which is around the corner, mentioning that there were some issues with an illegal auto body shop. There was, like I said before, most of the questions were related to job creation and bringing community benefits in. Understand that the applicant has worked with a number of civic associations, including the Greater Mattapan Neighborhood Council, which I believe is supportive of this proposal. If the applicant continues to work with the Inspectional Services Department to make sure the property is well maintained. With that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives that would like to speak? All right, Luke, did anyone sign up to testify?
Not for this matter, no.
Okay. Is there anyone that would like to provide testimony before we move on? All right, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Smith? Yes.
Yeah, sorry, Jasmine. Thank you. Mr. Byer, one question. Do you have another business?
Yes, I do.
Is it the same cannabis or something?
Something totally different.
Something totally different.
Yeah.
Okay. I asked because when our new commissioner Kensley asked about training and all that kind of stuff, you were saying that it's things you have to think about in terms of growing your business and helping folks start other business and training and management. Do you not have a model for that already, or?
Actually, I have. I'll be honest with you. I've started a lot of businesses, and right now my main businesses that we have 3 daycare centers, one in Somerville, one in Dorchester, and one in Roxbury. So those that's one reason why, because the compliance is a little bit the same. But that's one of our other businesses that we have. That's when I say we have the 30 employees.
Yeah, you're part of Zaza Zoom, right? That's one of yours too, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about, the other business.
Is this your whole let me keep it secret until I get out?
No.
Okay.
Well, with Zaza Zoom, to be honest, it was a long time, and the location, things didn't fall through the way we wanted to.
But it was a similar business, right?
Delivery.
More delivery. Okay. All right.
Wait, sorry. So is that not moving forward? All right, we'll talk offline.
Thank
you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Madam Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our final matter. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. It's been a long hearing. We're almost there. The next matter we have, the applicant is Sony LLC. The proposed license premise is 1576 Tremont Street, Mission Hill. They are applying for a marijuana retailer license. The proposed hours of operation are Monday through Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Thursday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. This is a non-equity applicant. They filed their application September 19th, 2024. They filed with Inspectional Services October 2nd, 2023. They held a community meeting on March 21st, 2024. And there was a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment. Who is here on behalf of the licensee?
I'm here, Aditya Soni for Sony Dot. And then I'm also joined by Larry DeCara, Quinn Heath, Louis Anna, and Aditi Soni.
Okay, thank you. You have 10 minutes. You may share your screen and begin.
Can everyone see it? Great. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us. My name is Aditya Soni, and I'm the managing partner and CEO. Sony LLC is proposing a non-equity adult use cannabis establishment located at 1576 Tremont Street in Boston. First, I just want to start off by introducing myself and our wonderful team. This is our consulting team for the licensing and permitting process, but we plan to expand it as needed as we continue through our application. I'm a graduate of UMass Boston. I majored in criminal justice with a minor in economics, which led me to decide to run such a highly regulated business. Our team also includes Aditi Soni, our Chief Financial Officer. She has an MBA from MIT and has extensive experience working in nonprofit organizations. Finally, we have our legal team, Larry DeCara and Quinn Heath. Both pay close attention to detail and will ensure our project meets every requirement of the Boston Cannabis Board and the Cannabis Control Commission once we open. Also joining us today is Luis Santana, our consulting engineer, who has updated our plans using the feedback we received from the board and the community over the past year. My parents, Aditi and Rakesh Soni, and I each hold a 1/3 share in this business with 100% operational control under my name. Although Rakesh and Aditi are shareholders and investors in this project, I will make the final decisions regarding the business and its operation. I want to continue talking a bit about our location. Our proposal sits in the commercial hub of Mission Hill. We've heard concerns from individuals from the community about our distance to the various schools on Mission Hill. The closest school to our facility is the Mission Grammar School, which accompany is surveyed at 687 feet from our facility, entrance to entrance. Aside from this, the Tobin Community Center and School, which lies approximately 1,200 feet from our facility. And we did learn that we have a buffer conflict with a cannabis establishment at 1441 Tremont Street, which, although having its host community agreement, has been denied by the Zoning Board of Appeals, citing its proximity to the Tobin Community Center. And we do not anticipate that project moving forward. It's also my understanding that a previously approved project at 123 Terrace Street, sitting right outside our buffer zone, will not be moving forward, meaning that there are no cannabis applications in the Mission Hill neighborhood in a position to open anytime soon. We have a strong application that we can and will follow through with, pending the board's approval. It's about time that cannabis is available to the Mission Hill community. Our most significant update to our project since we last presented to the board is our floor plan. We discovered that deliveries for the facility would not be secured through our side entrance, so we moved our delivery door to the front of the facility. This will not only ensure the safe delivery of products, but will lead to quick and efficient deliveries while staying compliant with Cannabis Control Commission and Boston Cannabis Board regulations. This new layout will also help prevent lines from forming and ensure quick customer interactions. Lines can form within the facility towards the back of it if many customers come at once. Towards the front of the facility, there will be a security desk with an employee dedicated to checking IDs and watching the storefront cameras for any security or traffic issues. These plans, as always, are subject to change as we continue to receive feedback from the Cannabis Control Commission and the Boston Cannabis Board. We've heard a lot of questions about what this facility will look like with this new layout, and here we have an elevation of the proposed facility. From left to right, our secure delivery door is on the left, with the main entrance to the right of that. Next to that, to comply with city and state regulations, we will have a door leading to our handicap accessible lift, and the door on the right, all the way to the right, is an existing entrance to the residential units above the facility. Two of these entrances already exist, and we're simply adding a delivery entrance and the handicapped accessible entrance. Our trained staff and security team will ensure that there are no lines outside of the facility. It's also important to emphasize that transaction times for cannabis customers are very quick, on average lasting about 3 to 5 minutes. Many customers are also now choosing to order online and pick up at the store, which will decrease transaction times as well. Sony Dot will add to the options and amenities for our community. We also have an abundance of public transportation options throughout Mission Hill. Although there's ample street parking on site, we will continue to encourage the use of alternative transportation, which goes for our customers as well as our employees. We'll also address traffic and congestion by ensuring that no one is occupying a space that they shouldn't be. And our staff will be regularly engaging with customers as they come into the store. And anyone who attempts to double park, block throughways, occupy delivery spots, or block hydrants, we will refuse to serve them unless they move their vehicle. We are partnering with Citronic Security Integrators, which will ensure that not only regulations are being met, but that we can conduct business in a safe and secure manner. Products will be strictly monitored and controlled, and we will have a zero tolerance policy to ensure customers are not using products on or around the premises. Sony Dot will also utilize ID science technology for secure ID confirmation. This is the same technology Massport uses at Logan Airport for domestic and international travelers. This will ensure sales are strictly monitored and prevent youth diversion. Staff members will have sole discretion to refuse access, so if there's any violations of these regulations or disrespectful behavior in our community, we will exercise our right to remove and ban individuals from the facility. As we've discussed with the community, we have proposed a thought-out commitment of at least $25,000 per year for 3 years in community benefits. The first distribution of funds will be within the first 6 months after the opening of Sony Dot. We will have a donor-advised fund with the Boston Foundation, which we will set up within those first 6 months after opening. We will seek Mission Hill-based 501c3 charitable organizations for the funds to be allocated to, and will ensure the distribution of funds within the first year of opening. I'd also like to pause here and say that we are committed to hiring local Mission Hill residents first under the Our Mission Hill initiative. I'll speak some more about our diversity and inclusion goals on the next slide, but we'll be seeking local residents to apply for Sony Dobbs, in addition to encouraging people of color, veterans, and persons with disabilities to work with us. I'm fully committed to this effort and excited to make this a part of the culture at Sony Dot. Here we have some of our hiring goals. And aside from direct funding, we also recognize that our business benefits the community members in another fundamental way through our well-paid job opportunities. We anticipate hiring 15 full-time employees at this facility. We will have part-time scheduling available to employees who would prefer that type of arrangement. Our starting wage is projected at $20 per hour, and benefits include healthcare options, sick leave, and paid time off. These are also aspirational goals that you see on the screen that we will put in every effort to meet, and we will track our progress towards these goals by collecting self-identification information from new employees and generate a yearly report tracking our progress. We look forward to working with various programs such as Equity Works Career Hub, the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, and the Boston chapter of the NAACP to meet these goals. Over the past week, I spoke to the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts and look forward to meeting with them this weekend to further discuss our plans. We also plan to hire from local job fairs, such as the ones held at the Roxbury Community College, to ensure representation within our staff members. In order to support diverse staff members in our community, we plan to host a yearly record sealing with a lawyer to help any people who are affected in the community by a criminal record. In specific, anyone with a misdemeanor older than 3 years, their records can be sealed, as well as anyone with felony over 7 years old. We've worked this past year to ensure that Mission Hill is heard about and supports our efforts. I've spent countless hours getting out into the community, meeting with people, knocking on doors, and responding to people's questions and concerns. We've been collecting signatures for support, and the community's input matters to me. We've collected 543 signatures of support from Mission Hill community. 37 of those come from direct abutters, 38 from Mission Hill businesses, and 468 from community members. 18 community members wrote personal letters of support the last time we presented in front of the board. And in the last 24 hours, I've seen at least 15 more letters of support go to the board. So I thank you all for your support very much. Our city councilor, Sharon Durkin, has expressed a position of non-opposition towards our application. And Sony Dot has the neighborhood support, and I really thank everyone for it. We've handed out thousands of flyers in Mission Hill and advertised information about the dispensary in the Mission Hill Gazette, as well as the Bay State banner. We've heard concerns from community members about the upkeep and maintenance of the 1576 Tremont Street property, and I'm pleased to present how we've addressed these concerns. For example, we heard reports of rodents in and around the facility, and in response to this, we had a water main change by the city of Boston, which had previously been allowing rodents into the property. Since fixing this, we have seen a significant decrease in rodent activity within and around the property. We've also removed all food products from the store in anticipation of the upcoming renovations. Lastly, we contracted a new trash company to come and collect trash on a bi-weekly basis and ensure the areas around the facility are kept clean. I've also been going into Mission Hill at least once a week to ensure that the facility and its surrounding areas are being kept up to standard. We anticipate that the quality of this property will only improve as we plan to revitalize this location through this proposal. Before I finish, I just want to display a map of the widespread support we've received from the community. So far, 543 community members have supported our business, with the majority of those coming directly from the Mission Hill community. People want to see cannabis in Mission Hill, and there is no better place for it than at 1576 Tremont Street. Mission Hill is one of the few neighborhoods in Boston that doesn't already have readily access to cannabis, recreational cannabis, and Sony Dot is here to change this. Real quick, we just have a quick before and after of how the facility will look. As you can see in the top left, that's the current business that is there. And
you are at your 10 minutes if you want to just wrap up.
okay, yeah, I'll just finish up with a closing statement. But closing, thank you all so much for allowing me to present before you today. This project means a lot to me, and I genuinely believe this is the best way to revitalize the 1576 Tremont Street property. Thank you to all those who came and waited so long to see our proposal. And I thank the Boston Cannabis Board and Jasmine as well for setting up our presentation this afternoon. And our team will take any questions at this time.
Thank you. And I just want to say for the record, we do not have any correspondence from the other cannabis shop that they are not moving forward. And they did renew their host community agreement. So this is still treated as a buffer zone. Kathleen, do you want to start with any questions, comments?
Yes, so I know you only had a couple minutes to explain during your presentation, but can you walk me through that back alley again and what you are and aren't going to do there?
Yeah, so previously we had our deliveries going through a side alley towards the right of our facility.
Okay.
We realized that our deliveries wouldn't be secure through there because the neighboring building would need access to that alley for emergency egress. So because of that, we moved our delivery door to the front of the facility. So it'll be all the way to the left of our facility and deliveries will be going through the front. But it will be a separate door leading directly to the vault.
I'm looking at the front of the building. There's the red door. Where does that lead to? The apartments?
The one all the way on the right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is going to lead to the apartments and that will remain after we complete renovations.
And then it looks like there's 3 doors to the left. Where do they go?
Yeah, so the one all the way to the left, that would be our delivery door.
Okay.
The one to the right of that will be our main entrance. We do have stairs at our facility, so we also do need to build a handicapped accessible lift, and that's why we'll be adding a door next to that for the lift.
Okay, and tell me a little bit more about deliveries. How often will you be having them?
We anticipate having deliveries about 1 to 2 times per week. And I'm happy to say that this will have a net negative impact on the neighborhood. The previous business, they would have 2 to 3 deliveries per week with those big box trucks that would take 20 to 30 minutes to unload. We anticipate having smaller Sprinter vans come for our cannabis deliveries and deliveries lasting no longer than 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, and then you stated that these 2 maps show the support, the neighborhood support.
Yes. We basically took all of the signatures of support that we got and I put them into a document and mapped them out on a map just for a visual for the board.
Okay. I might have more questions, but that's it for now.
Thank you.
Commissioner Holmes?
That was quick. Good afternoon. How far away did you say the Tobin Community Center was from you?
It's 1,200 feet away.
To the left or to the right?
If you exit our facility, it'll be to the right down Tremont Street.
Okay, all right. So it's further down the block. Are you closer up towards where the gas station is by chance?
Yeah. So do you know the subway right by the gas station?
The what, sir?
The subway?
Yep,
Right?
yep.
Yeah, we're right next to that.
Okay. So you're further up the street. You're closer to the what do you call that?
Circle?
The hospitals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. And I remember you. You were before us before, right?
Yeah, I presented before you last month.
Okay. And the problem was the delivery, correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And so is that the only thing that has changed from beside the name from the previous presentation?
Well, yes, that was the only thing we changed, but we also did take this opportunity to further refine our hiring goals as well as our diversity and inclusion plan. Um, and yeah.
And your security plan, what is it again?
I believe I sent a copy of it with my correspondence, but we are going to be running security through Citronic Security Integrators. They've worked on similar projects in the past, so we're confident that we can work well with them.
And how many officers or security analysts or persons do you plan on having at this location while it's open?
So we actually don't plan to have any designated security officers, but we do plan to have the staff member at the front trained in security issues such as de-escalation, what to do in case of robbery or theft, or emergency response. So our staff will be well trained to deal with any security issues that may come up.
And that company that you mentioned, will they be doing the training?
Uh, we haven't discussed that with them as of yet, but we would definitely look into that.
Because you're talking about just having your staff, but I mean, they also have to be trained on, checking IDs, false IDs. You're also in a college area, so we got to look at, out of state IDs, passports, stuff like that. So you're going to need a really strong security plan for that area just based on those couple of things alone.
Absolutely, yeah. That's actually why we were pressing to get those the Massport scanners, that the ID science scanners. I actually have worked at the airport, and I do realize how important it is for people to have proper identification. We would have very similar strict rules about that. For example, at the airport, if you have a passport and it's not in good condition, we can't accept that, and we would have the same rules at the facility as well.
Okay. So all right, you said I didn't have a chance to look at your entire security plan, but I will take a look at it and we may have to would you be willing if I ask you to add some more stuff, could you send it in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. And if there's anything else, particularly on training for those type of things, I will send a request.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine. How are you, sir? You said that you're committed to hiring local residents first, 15 to 20 expected positions. How many are full and part-time again?
So this time we're actually anticipate hiring 15 full-time employees, and we will be offering part-time for anyone who may need that arrangement, but our goal is to have a full-time staff.
Of 15.
Yeah, 15.
At $20 an hour is your minimum, right?
Yes.
You have healthcare options. Okay. I see you have lots of support, community support. I'm also looking at some of, as you know, we get letters in opposition to some of this. So there are some things I was looking at, just wanted to put it on the record. There is a opposition letter here that I'm looking at, which talks about the shared alley that, the community residents said that they refuse to keep the area clean, the gate locked, and remains a danger to our HOA, and frankly, the tenants with the lock gate. Can you address that? Is that something you're concerned about, or was it dealt with, or?
Yeah, I think the first time we had our application, we were planning to use the alley for deliveries. And to use the alley for deliveries, we had planned to put a locked door there. But we did realize that we can't use that alley for deliveries because of the emergency egress for the next door neighbors, which is why we moved our delivery door to the front of the facility. So we will no longer be using the alley for deliveries, and it won't be locked or anything like that.
Okay. Second thing they raised was this whole idea that there's still some litigation based on some monthly condo fee, and they're wondering how trustworthy, questioning if you can't do that or you all cannot do that. Like, what issues does that raise?
Yeah, I mean, I think I know what you're referencing. This,
Yeah, I'm literally just reading off the
yeah,
list.
no, I got you. Yeah, so our neighbor, he has some business between my father and himself with a different LLC. So that has nothing to do with our LLC, and I'm also not really involved on that project, so I can't really speak too much to it. I know there was kind of like a threat of litigation, but it never really got to that point, and any type of HOA fees have been paid off as of this time.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know Commissioner Gandhi has recused herself from this matter. Commissioner Kinsley?
Yeah, you mentioned that you envisioned about 70% of your commerce in the facility to be through online orders. How did you arrive at that number?
Honestly, it's just from my experience with cannabis and just speaking to people. I think most people that I've seen, there is a good amount of market where people want to come in, they want to understand the product and they need help selecting. But the majority of people, they do know what they want. You know, cannabis has been around for a while. Many people choose to put in those online orders and just quickly pick them up and be on their way. And again, you know, cannabis is so readily available throughout the
What do you
city.
guys do, by the way?
We're not aiming to try to attract people from out of the area to come to our facility. We're not going to be putting any kind of signs on Route 9 or the highway advertising our facility. We want this to be a local shop, so it'll be mostly walk-in people from the neighborhood.
Okay. Um, so if it's mostly walk-in, wouldn't that mean that there would probably be a higher percentage than 30% of people who are coming in and like shopping in the store as opposed to online orders ahead of time?
I'm sorry, I might have phrased that wrong. I just meant that our total footprint of our customers is expected to be from the community, but we do anticipate a lot of online orders just from seeing how other facilities are run, speaking to people in the neighborhood who do consume cannabis. A lot of them have expressed that they would expect to be ordering online and just picking it up really quick, which is why we expect our transaction times to be 3 to 5 minutes or less.
Okay. And then there was the previous reference from the a butter who seems to be in like a building kind of neighboring it. Do you know, from all the letters of support and opposition, have any of them come in from the people who live in the building directly above the facility in question?
Not to my knowledge. I think that came from the owner of the building next door.
Which is sick when you're paying charging 6,000.
But we haven't really heard anything from the residents.
Okay.
Can I add to Sorry, could I add to that? I believe we have a support letter from the next door business, Subway, and there are few from across the street as well.
Okay. And then in the safety plans that you had mentioned, you mentioned or like making sure that people aren't consuming on site, that it would involve a periodic staff scan. What would that process look like as you envision it?
The way I see that is just having a staff member just take a quick loop around the area. I mean, that area, it's very densely packed and it's not a large area and it is just one main street. There's not a lot of tree coverage or anything like that. So just a quick scan of the outside area as well as using the security cameras to keep an eye on that. We're confident that we can prevent any type of cannabis use directly outside of our facility.
And then would it be up to that individual staff member to confront them, or would they report it to a manager and the manager would go outside, or would they call
They would,
police or other
yeah,
authorities?
they would basically, yeah, take it up with the manager. And if for example, the individual who was using cannabis outside of the facility, if they had just bought it from our facility, you know, there's seed to sale records of every purchase. So we would just go ahead and ban them and we would let them know that this type of behavior isn't okay.
Okay. And then with not having like a dedicated security team, but you have staff members kind of handling the vestibule, handling de-escalation, would you envision that you would have like maybe 3 or 4 of the 15 total staff who are assigned to that room specifically, or would you have basically everyone in the shop trained on those issues and have them kind of rotate in and out of that specific position?
Yeah, so obviously the person who's checking IDs at the front, they would absolutely need to be trained in that, and we would probably have 2 or 3 people trained just for that front ID checking. And we would want the rest of our staff to be trained for de-escalation and security issues because obviously not everything happens at the front door. But the people who would work the front would probably have a higher level of training, but everyone in the facility should have some level of training for that.
Would there be a like a separate wage scale for that position as well then?
No, not at this time.
Okay, so they would have a higher level of training but still get paid the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on the part-time availability, you said that like you would ideally have basically everyone be full-time. You could have part-time if someone expressed a desire. And then would that be kind of like a one and done thing? Like if someone said they wanted to go part-time but then expressed a desire to go back full-time, would you have the ability to change that around, or would they kind of lock themselves into it if they expressed a desire to go part-time?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to be flexible with our staff. You know, I know a lot of people they have other jobs or other, we have a lot of schools in the area, a lot of people are working on their education. So I don't want to prevent my staff from not having the schedule that they want. So if someone wanted to switch to part-time and go back to full-time and we do have space for that, I see no problem in that.
All right. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other follow-up questions from the board members? All right, we'll move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information in the community process. ONS had hosted another community meeting on March 4th at the BCYF Center. It was very well attended, and we heard a variety of opinions in that meeting. There were a number of people who identified themselves as abutters, some of them direct abutters, who voiced opposition, expressing concerns with the quality of the property, with mentions of the sidewalk remaining unshoveled for portions of the winter. There was also concerns related to the buffer zone conflict, proximity to the school and the BCYF Center, who are outside of the 500 feet, but residents still feel that that could be have a negative impact on those areas where children congregate. Concerns about additional traffic and congestion, as well as just some questions over what exactly the makeup was of this applicant's team. There have been some change in personnel since the first process, so residents had some doubts about that. The Community Alliance of Mission Hill had expressed their opposition in the meeting, as well as the Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Services also expressed their opposition, sending in letters of opposition that the board should have access to. There were also attendees and members of the public that were in support of the proposal, mentioning the demand for cannabis in this area, potential walkability for residents to walk to the establishment from within Mission Hill, as well as others, a number of attendees who expressed that they felt that the applicant represented a new generation that could bring change to this storefront. With that information, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Sam from Councilor Durkin's office.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. My name is Samantha Courage. I'm here on behalf of Councilor Sharon Durkin. The councilor would like to express her opposition for the proposal. The councilor appreciates that there was engagement during this process, but there are multiple ongoing concerns that the councilor cannot overlook. There are outstanding city code violations on the property as of this morning. We have all heard from many neighbors, our office has heard from many neighbors, including CAMH and MHNHS, which Connor Newman described. We have received concerns from those organizations. There's also been longstanding challenges surrounding this area, which is an area that's been operated by the same family. The counselor was hoping to reach a place where she could support or not oppose this application, but believes that there's been a lack of accountability regarding the violations. It makes it difficult to feel confident that these concerns would be addressed in the future. Also, while it's just outside a school buffer zone, its proximity to Mission Hill Grammar does pose concern. She believes that while a thoughtfully operated business could have a positive addition to the location, unfortunately at this time, she believes that this unfortunately is not in the best interest of the neighborhood. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
If I could just get a chance to comment on that real quick.
If you could just wait till we get to the other counselor, and then.
No worries.
Mary from Councilor Murphy's office.
Hi, everybody, Madam Chair and board members. Councilor Murphy feels the same as Councilor Durkin. It's basically the same thing. We've heard from 4 different community groups and direct abutters on their concerns. The operator not being following up on commitments, lack of concern for the neighborhood, questions the ability of the management for such a this kind of business in the industry. And the security plan wasn't really laid out for them. And also traffic. They're worried about the traffic because it's very busy right now and they really haven't gotten anything. It's a congested area, so she's opposed for the same reasons. And she heard from Mission Hill Community Alliance, Mission Hill Main Streets, Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Services, and direct abutters. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson from Councilor Santana's office.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Indus Johnson, and I am speaking on behalf of Councilor Santana. We mirror the same concerns as Councilor Durkin and Councilor Murphy, and we are in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to provide a response quickly, and then we'll move to public testimony?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, this is the second time we've been in front of the Boston Cannabis Board regarding this matter. Leading up to the last meeting as well as this one, we were with the understanding from Councilor Durkin's office that we were going to receive a letter of non-opposition. And this, again, has been changed at the last minute without our knowledge, which is why in the presentation as well, I had discussed that we had a letter of non-opposition.
No, she did. They did provide a letter of non-opposition.
Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Sam, did you want to add to that?
Yes. So our office, the counselor's office, did submit a letter of non-opposition months ago. I know that a letter does have to be submitted for them to move forward with the process. The counselor's office has been heavily engaged with this process throughout, from kind of soup to nuts. And so it wasn't a bait and switch, but rather the counselor has been very plugged into this proposal for quite some time and is following her constituents. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll move to public testimony. Luke, do you want to
respond to that also?
There's an echo, sorry. If briefly, I think we understand the counselor she submitted the non-opposition, but in her non-opposition letter it does say she reserves us the right to change her position. So
I agree with that, but just want the record to know we made every effort to meet with Councilor Durkin, including my physically visiting her office a week or two ago.
Okay. All right, Luke.
Yes, and a reminder, you have 2 minutes to give your testimony. First is Ajit Barty.
I'm a Boston resident for the last 30 years, and I used to live in Mission Hill area for more than 15 years. I know the business. I have the existing business and the owner, and I know the family also. They are excellent business people, and they have extensive experience in the business area. And some of the the regions that have been put forward here, like, for example, traffic problems and all those, that is in Mission Hill area for a long time. I'm here to support strongly the opening of this Sony Dot in the neighborhood, and it will help the community very much. That's my opinion, and I would like to support the cannabis dispensary in that neighborhood. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Martin Beinburn.
Thank you. My name is Martin Beinborn, speaking as president of the Community Alliance of Mission Hill. On behalf of numerous neighbors who are more than transient residents in Mission Hill, I am offering opposition to the proposed Sony Dot dispensary based on meetings we had with the applicants and a formal vote we took, which resulted in overwhelming opposition. The continuing concerns I want to focus on are as follows. 1. The dismal record the applicants have in running a prior mini-mart at the same location of the proposed dispensary. That mini-mart was suspended multiple times due to sanitary issues. Second, the poor ongoing record the applicant family has in running multiple student rental properties in Mission Hill, which continue to be a recurrent target of quality of life complaints and ISD ticketing. Third, the failure of the applicants to win back in any way the community's trust that things will change from their prior rejected application. They returned to one of our meetings with a preliminary update last December and promised to come back before going to this board. However, there was no further contact. They announced that all outstanding tickets would be paid off as a sign of goodwill. However, we then found out that the properties in Mission Hill continue racking up open violation tickets, undermining confidence that they are serious about changing their ways. And lastly, the evasive vagueness of making commitments that did not result in concrete outcomes. For example, we were told that supposed discussions were going on with the close-by Mission Grammar School, and that they were eager to work with the community without any further follow-up. In summary, there's no trust whatsoever in the applicant and the family that stands behind him as landlords and major investors, nor any evidence that they use their second opportunity to win such trust. We therefore continue opposing this proposal, which seems to be heavily catered to the local student population. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Next up is Patricia Flaherty.
Can I just maybe respond to that?
We're going to listen to all the testimony. We have a lot of people that signed up and a lot of hands raised. I'll be able at the end to give a final statement, but we don't want to continue the back and forth.
Thank you, commissioners. I know it's been a long day. My name is Patricia Flaherty. I'm a 41-year resident of Mission Hill, been active in the redevelopment of Mission Hill, including the One Brigham Circle project, which is down the street from this proposal. And on behalf of the Board of Mission Hill Neighborhood Housing Services, we'd like to go on record in opposition to both the location and the applicant for this proposal. We're not opposed to this use in general. We've supported another cannabis dispensary in the neighborhood. And in fact, in response to the testimony, I contacted attorney Mike Ross, and he says there is no intention not to move forward with the cannabis location on Terrace Street, so that information is not correct. Would like to say that even though we understand they were forced to look at another way to do deliveries, as that alleyway was not going to work, the addition of 2 doors on the storefront, one for accessibility, one for deliveries, along with the main door to the storefront and the door to the existing door to the residential, we have concerns about how that's actually going to work and keep things separate. We also have concerns that there aren't, and I'm glad Commissioner Holmes was raising questions around security. We have concerns that there isn't going to be a security person, someone who's a trained security person. Somebody who's going to be trying to help people with the accessible lift, trying to check IDs, and monitor parking and usage outside in an area where we've seen an increase in aggressive panhandling and loitering. Seems like there needs to be a greater focus on security. So we have concerns with that. We also take issue with the position that they put forth related to plenty of parking and deliveries. If you've ever come down Tremont Street and tried to park to go to local retail, there is not plenty of parking and there is no delivery space for this facility.
Ms. Verity, that is your 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, next up is Marianne Nelson. Okay, I just sent you a request to unmute. All right, moving on, Adam Sarbo.
Good afternoon, members of the board, Madam Chair, Adam Sarbo, Mission Hill resident. And wanted to say I thank you for the applicants for coming again. I mean, the overall communication could be better, where I do agree with Martin sitting on the Community Alliance board that you did commit to coming back before a vote, but yet here we are with no communication back to the residents. I also think that you're very articulate and you speak very well, but actions speak louder than words. And we have currently just going through some of the things. You've heard the counselors with us. You've heard the Community Alliance. You hear all applicants are closing, around us. There's a lot of finesse without a lot of fact. So I really would like the board to really scrutinize this applicant based on what is said. We do not have a written employment plan. We do not have a written concrete security plan. We don't even have a traffic plan on Tremont Street, which has become the busiest street in the neighborhood when we lost 2 lanes to bikes. They say it's going to ease the traffic because he's not going to double park for a market to undeliver anymore. It's only going to be for a little bit of time for that. It just doesn't really work. Going to the sanitary conditions and talking about the residents upstairs, just a quick search on the city site. The tenants above him actually have 7 housing violations for unsanitary conditions above the building in the last 5 years. If you go to Rent Smart, part of the Boston's activity on the database. And overall, I just feel that it's a really disingenuous process with the applicant and forcing the community to continue to come back where an applicant hasn't changed that much and doesn't have that much detail laid out. The overall presentation over the last 2 years has changed with a total of 4 teams. People started with experience throughout the city, and now we're just to the owners themselves. And they're saying the consulting team would.
Adam, that is your 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Eric Alden.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate the time. I think the one piece I just wanted to start off with is I'm not opposed to this use in the neighborhood. As others have said, I supported a previous application in the neighborhood. My concern is with the ownership group. And I think if you really listen to what's been said here, every community organization, which are all very pro-business, are in opposition to this. So that should speak volumes to the commission right there, without even going into all the details. But oftentimes when an applicant comes in front of a community, we don't know them, and we have to trust what they have to say. Fortunately, or unfortunately, we know this applicant. They have a 25-year track record of not being a good neighbor in this community. And while we hear the younger member of the team say that he's making all the decisions, he has no experience in a highly regulated industry. So he would lean on his partners of this LLC, the ownership group, which coincidentally one of them has been left off the presentation. And those are his parents who own the property, who've run the business for the past 25 years poorly. I would also ask the commission to scrutinize the support letters I reviewed all of those letters, and a good majority of those appear to be written by the same hand. And the folks that seem to come to speak in favor of this don't appear to be folks from the neighborhood. They don't appear to live here. They don't appear to have businesses here. They don't appear to be associated. And I guess it's his right to truck people in to speak in favor of this. But I'd ask that you really.
Okay, that is your 2 minutes.
Luke, 1 second. Councilor Durkin has joined us.
Hi, I'm so sorry to have to get on and correct the record again but I just want to say that in the past few months, I've taken no meeting with the proponent. And I did put forward, like was stated earlier, that a letter that just said, I'm okay with this project. You have to issue a letter of non-opposition in order for the project to move forward and be voted on. So I just think I am very surprised by the accusation that I have met with the proponent and that my position on this has changed at all since the last time this came before the board. And I actually just got out of the council meeting to hear this from my staff. And I think that's just the example of why this cannot be approved. I think that it is really important that we have like ethical business owners who are willing to tell the truth, especially when you're running a cannabis dispensary. And I'm sorry that we're taking up so much time for my office, but I do think it's important that I step on myself and correct the record and say that I haven't met with the proponent in a couple of months because my position has not changed. And I urge the board to disapprove of this proposal. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just have to respond to that if possible.
Chair Joyce, do you want to get through this testimony or you want him to respond?
I heard it that you guys tried to meet with Councilor Durkin and you weren't successful. I don't believe they ever said that they met with her.
Yeah,
So I don't feel like we need to go back and forth. We're now going on 4 hours of testimony, and not that anyone cares, but I've been sitting on hearings since 10 a.m. So I'm pretty clear. I understand. If there's any other questions, we can put them in writing.
All right. Luke, if you want to continue going through the list.
Okay. The last one is Lawrence Dakar. I believe that's the lawyer for Sony Dot. So
I'm all set. Thank you.
okay, yep. And we have a raised hand from Riddick. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Hey, I'm Riddick. So I'm a property owner in Mission Hill, and I also live in Boston. So my tenants in Mission Hill are students, and I support the dispensary for several reasons, mostly because of the regulation and safety. So I see it as reducing nuisance from illegal activity. And I also see it as providing some economic and community benefits. But I mean, from the community meetings, it seems like a lot of the opposition is rooted in personal sentiment rather than the broader assessment of the neighborhood needs. And this business is going to be heavily regulated. So there's not a lot of mistakes that Aditya can make in this. So from my perspective as a landlord and a community stakeholder, I think a well-regulated dispensary will bring value to the area. And then he's also been working on this project for years. He's been consulting with different groups, so he has a good mentorship and leadership team. So I believe that he's shown the dedication to properly deliver a community service, and I don't believe that he should be judged on his parents or the previous owners of this business.
All right, thank you. And we have a raised hand from Dhruv Patel.
Yes, hi.
You can provide your testimony, please.
Hi, this is Dhruv Patel. I'm the neighborhood. I have a property in the neighborhood and the business as well. I know Sony and also I know Aditya. I have same to say like Riddick who just said previously. A lot of things the group are just targeting to somebody else, but the thing is going to handle by somebody else. They should give a chance to the new generation and show up what exactly the things are going to change in the neighborhood, which is beneficiary for the neighborhood who are the employees as well, who are going to take the hands on their hands for the business to run security, to sell the product. And it is not going to be the people of the same family standing behind the counter. There is a lot of good security cameras, entrance system, which is all has to be bypassed through government equipments, devices, and company, which they have to regulate in this facility and not going to go to anything else. So it looks like this project is going to be really good for the neighborhood, for the values, and also for the community too. I support the project.
Okay, thank you. And I,
One
sorry,
second.
Yep.
There's two people in the chat that have been waiting to testify. The first one is Kantar.
Hi, everyone. My name is Al Kantar. I'm the director of the project 56. I represent the condo association 1573 Mount Street, and then I also own and operate 1574 Tremont condos building. I'm opposition to this project. The same family still owes. They mentioned that they paid the condo fees, but they still owe $4,891.40. We had a condo meeting finally after multiple emails, and April 17th. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. April 17th, 4:30, with Rakesh and Aditya Sani also showed up and offered to pay the condo association if I change my opposition to support. And I told them I'm not going to get bribed and I will never support this project. And then they try to keep talking about this project. And I said, this meeting is about the condo association, not about the project that they're trying to get approved. So overall, I see a strong opposition in the community. I grew up in Mission Hill. I lived there all my college life. And I am opposition to this project. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Marianne. I saw her earlier. I don't know where she is now. Marianne, are you still on with us?
Yeah, I just sent her a request to unmute. She's there.
Hi.
Marianne? We're going to get through the public testimony.
Sorry, this is Aditi. I just wanted to say our architect is here in the room with me, and I'm just going to maybe give him, he somehow from his device, he cannot raise hand, if that's okay.
Okay, just 1 second. We're waiting for, is he giving testimony? What is the architect?
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Luis Santana, members of the board. I am a consulting engineer, and we work on the plans for this establishment. And I just want to comment on, there was a comment about the entrances and how exactly that's going to work. The design of those entrances and the way that they were arranged with the existing entrances, that is all designed per code. The handicap access, although not required per code based on the scope of work, it will be provided as in order to facilitate access to people with disabilities. That being said, that meets the code requirements in terms of width, and it doesn't need any help or assistance from any of the staff in order to have access to that handicap access lift. The entrance to the vault is also in compliance with the minimum dimensional requirements established per code, and the other two entrances are there to remain. So based on the dimensions of the space in the front, although limited, all those entrances, including the handicap access entrance, meets the code requirements. Thank you.
We have a hand raised, Harjeet.
Yeah, hi Jasmine and hi everyone. I am Harjeet this side.
I have been a regular visitor to Mission Hills. I must appreciate the point that we have got a very good team over here. I really support this Sunny Dot Clinic. When we see a young enthusiast like Aditya and a very educated CFO with Aditi, and a team which is really, interested in bringing out the best. So when I heard so many people, I heard and objections being raised on amenities and all those things, while Aditya focused more towards security, convenience, and a proper, softwares and everything. I really appreciate the way he has modeled this entire clinic. And I feel with all the experience what Aditi has and what Aditya has learned, and as a young man, he understands his responsibilities after his learnings. I really appreciate this team, and they are really qualified to do this business. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to provide testimony? All right, seeing no one. If the team would like to give a brief rebuttal, and then we're gonna.
Yeah, I just want to go through some of the stuff that was brought up through everything. So first off, the violations on the property, we did have a number of violations last year that were still open. But prior to our last meeting in front of the Cannabis Board, we did decide to pay off all those violations, even though they were in the process of being disputed with IST. That was a show of good faith, and that did in fact occur. And we do have records that we can submit to show that, and that's no problem as well. As far as new violations, the only ones that I had seen in the last couple months would be for snow removal, which, as we all know, there was a very large ice storm in Boston. Thousands of tickets were handed out to many residents and businesses across the city, and we didn't dispute that. We paid that one off because we did not, in fact, have that shoveled, and that was an oversight on our part. Since then, we did contract a new snow removal company to ensure that that area remains clean in case of any snow. Our security plan and hiring plan, it may not be available to members of the community, but if anyone would like a copy of that or would like to speak more on that, you can feel free to reach out to me at any time, and I'd love to talk to you more about that. Our consulting team hasn't actually changed since we last met in front of the board. I'm not really sure where people are getting figures that we've had 4 different teams or whatnot, but this is our team that we've had since our last application. And I'm very confident in this team. I'm very happy with them, and I think that we will have a very successful business once we open. I am 25 years old. I am on the younger side of things, but I've worked in plenty of businesses where compliance and attention to detail and even checking IDs and making sure that everything is to the point has been involved. So I'm confident that I can run this business, and I do have plenty of experience working in many industries to back that up. And then I just wanted to go over the issue with the counselor real quick. So yes, it is true that the last time we met, we did get that letter of non-opposition from Counselor Durkin. And then leading up to this meeting, I myself, as well as Larry, our consultant, we've tried to reach out to the counselor's office a number of times to set up a meeting just to ensure that that hadn't changed and that we were still on track for that. And we had no response to that, and we did not have a chance to even hear the counselor's thoughts. So this did come to us as a surprise. And yeah, is there anything you want to?
Okay. We do have 2 people that are still trying to give testimony. Marianne, are you able to unmute? If not, then you can send us an email as well.
Could I just?
Just public testimony. We've heard enough from the applicant, in my professional opinion. You can put everything in writing.
Okay. Nur, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Abdul Nur, and I've been in Mission Hill area for past 4 decades. And I'm a senior who worked around this area, Roxbury Community College and United South End Settlement. Basically, I would ask the board members to look at the customers. I'm one of the customers for the dispensary. I can't take the bus now. I can't take the T because afraid of falling or something, but I can walk to that area and it's very safe. And somebody talked about signatures. I myself and a lot of my neighbors, seniors, they collected the signatures. We did it because we need it. The only problem is, sorry for saying this analogy, the chicken and the egg, which came first? Okay, you will understand when I'm finished with it. The chicken had the egg hatched, and there's a chick. You can't blame the chick for what the chicken has done. There's a lot of new process, new life, new business. And consideration not only the neighbors, but the customers like me who desperately need this dispensary in a safe place. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you. All right, those are all the matters before the board today. Those are all the matters before the board today. The board's voting meeting will take place Wednesday, May 28th. That is 2 weeks from now. So 2 weeks, not next week. May 28th at 1 p.m. Again, the record will be kept open until May 26th. So all letters of support, any additional materials need to be submitted before then. Thank you all for attending, and that adjourns our meeting for the day. Thank you.
Thank you all.